So good morning, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the inaugural session of our continuing education program on approaches to tangible assets valuation in India with practical case studies. Today marks the beginning of focused journey, one that bridges academic knowledge with practical insights tailored to the complex and evolving landscape of tangible assets in our country. As we all know, tangible assets valuation is both an art and a science. While globally accepting valuation methodologies such as the income approach, market comparison approach, and cost approach from the technical foundation, the Indian tangible assets market brings with it a set of unique variables: cultural nuisance, regulatory evaluation, rapid urbanization, informal property markets, and even regional socio-economical influences. India's property market is as diverse as its people. From the bustling metros of Mumbai and Bengaluru to the tier 2 cities fast catching up with smart infrastructure development, every micro market tells a different story. Understanding valuation in this context is not just about numbers. It is about grasping the pulse of the land, the behavior of buyers, and intent of regulators. This program has been carefully curated to equip you with both theoretical depth and practical exposure. Over the next sessions, you will delve into real-world case studies, gain insights into valuation standards like those fixed by International Valuation Standards, IVS, and other Indian valuation standards, and most importantly, understand how these can be applied meaningfully in your local context. Whether you are a practicing valuer, a government official, a banker, a developer, or an academic, this program is designed to strengthen your decision-making, refine your methods, and enable better compliances with today's regulatory expectations under RERA, GST, and other framework of the country. I want to extend my gratitude to our faculty, industry experts, legal advisor, urban planners, and valuation professionals who attended this session, who bring a wealth of knowledge to this initiative. Let this be more than a course. Let it be a platform for professional dialogue, knowledge sharing, and collective growth. I urge each one of you to make most of this opportunity, engage actively, ask questions, and challenge assumptions. To conclude with this, tangible assets is not just about land and building, plant and machinery. It is about people, aspirations, and possibilities. An accurate valuation lies at the heart of sustainable development, ethical investment, and smart urban planning. Thank you once again for being here. I wish you all the enriching learning experience and request everyone, each and everyone, to follow the protocols fixed by the authority to attend this online session. Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite and welcome our faculty for this session. None other than our guideline light and our CEO and backbone of the organization, none other than Dr. Rajvinder Singh Bansal. He is MTech in Structural Engineering, Diploma in Rail Transportation and Management, LLB Certified Gold Appraiser from MSME TDC, 6 months course in valuation of real estate, PhD in Structural Engineering, registered as an independent director, registered in Independent Directors Bank, IDDB of Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. He's a visiting faculty in various engineering colleges and other institutions. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the class.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
So can we start with your permission, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Please take the charge, sir.
Very welcome to all the participants. In today's presentation or discussion, we will be discussing about various approaches for valuation of tangible assets. This includes real estate as well as plant and machinery. First, we will discuss the different approaches. Then we will take certain case studies for real estate as well as for plant and machinery, so as to make the things clear. So, screen is visible to all of you? Okay, then we will be discussing approaches to tangible assets as far as valuation is concerned in Indian context. So tangible assets
Sir,
in
PPT is not visible clearly. Only slides are visible.
okay, then I will again. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Sandeep ji. So we will be discussing various approaches for tangible assets in this presentation. Then we will take certain case studies for both the assets, that is, so both the tangible assets which are real estate as well as for plant and machinery. So first we will discuss the different approaches. So tangible assets in India, combines the traditional methodology valuation. For tangible assets, you need to have traditional methods with unique market dynamics shaped by rapid urbanization. So here, each and every city has its own problem as far as valuation is concerned. Certain areas, certain urban areas where there is rapid urbanization, or certain areas are there where people have certain cultural preferences. So all these things are involved in valuation of tangible assets. And nowadays, with the advent of IBBI, the regulation or regulatory procedure is changing day by day. And all these things are affecting the procedure, the methodology for valuation. And as a registered valuer, or for those who are still in the process of registering, they have to make them conversant with the evolving process, changing process. As far as, of course, the methodologies will remain the same, but you have to consider certain new things, or you have to take care of certain things while you are doing valuation, as especially as a registered valuer, or as when you are preparing for IBBI examination to become a registered valuer. So this presentation offers a comprehensive analysis of valuation approaches. And of course, these slides have been specifically tailored for the Indian context. So featuring, we will be having certain real world examples from diverse property markets across the country. First of all, we should know why the valuation matters. Means whenever you are doing valuation, first thing you should know is for what purpose you are doing valuation. So all those who are registered with IBPI, they have already learned this thing, the purpose of valuation. So here we will again consider certain points why we need valuations. As far as tangible assets valuation is concerned, it forms a foundation for virtually every property related transaction in India, India's booming market, with over $1,920 billion annually property transactions. Nationwide, accurate valuations are critical for you need valuation for determining the fair market price for buyers and sellers. You need valuation for establishing collateral value for mortgage and loan application. You need valuation for calculating appropriate property tax assessments. You need valuation for resolving legal disputes over property values, whether it is real estate or plant and machinery. And you need to have valuation for informing investors in their investment decisions. And these investors may be individual or their investors may be institutional investors. And then for guiding government policies on land acquisition and compensation, you need to do valuation. And for supporting corporate financial reporting and asset valuation. So these are certain purposes for which your services may be needed as a registered valuer. But there are many other things which may not have been mentioned here, but these are certain things. Generally, we have to deal with these things when we are doing valuation. So inaccurate valuations can lead to significant financial loss to the investors or to the owners, and it may lead to legal complications and market inefficiencies that ripples through the economy. As India's tangible asset market continues to mature, the demand for sophisticated and reliable valuation methodologies have never been greater. So the tangible asset sector contributes approximately 7% of India's GDP and is expected to reach 86 trillion rupees market by 2030. This growth trajectory underscores the increasing importance of standardized, transparent valuation practices that can accommodate the unique characteristics of Indian property markets while aligning with the international standards. So now, as far as tangible assets are concerned, we will now discuss what are the key factors which are important to be considered for valuation. First thing is, as far it may be especially for real estate sector, it is a location factor. So as during your MEP, 50-hour MEP, you have learned the phrase location, location, location. So it still continues to be the having same.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. Madhusudan Kumra, if you are not able to attend the session with your full face visibility and without attending anything else, then please leave the class. This session is not for obligatory purposes.
So location factor, we have already discussed. It is an important factor. So the age-old adage of location, location, location. It holds particularly true in India's diverse urban landscape. Properties in prime locations command significant premiums, with micro market valuations often exceeding 30 to 50% within the same city. So you may have different price range within the same city because of location. So there may be difference from 30 to 50% or more than that. So as far as location is concerned, whether you are doing valuation of a real estate asset, or when you are doing the valuation of an industrial unit, from even then this factor is very important. So it depends upon proximity to central business areas, quality of neighborhood and social infrastructure. As far as location is concerned, what are the things that you have to look for when you are considering this factor, location factor? First thing, you have to check the proximity of the property of which you are doing valuation to the central business area, and then quality of neighborhood and social infrastructure around the property. Then security perception and community profile of the area. Then, of course, though it is not scientifically proven, but from Indian context of point of view, this Vastu compliance, it is again important in many, especially in many areas. So people are still using Vastu. It may not be for each and every person, but the thing is that it is still prevalent in most part of India, Vastu compliance. Though from our point of view, this has nothing to do with the valuation, but of course it exists as far as market is concerned. So Vastu compliance, traditional Indian architectural principles, you have to look for that also. Then you have to look for the infrastructure development in and around the property of which you are doing valuation. So infrastructure projects have transformative impact on property values, creating new growth corridors and appreciation zones. So as you all those persons who are from national capital region, they might have faced this problem with the advent of metro. The prices have gone skyrocket. Means metro rail connectivity, it has increased the prices values by at least from 15 to 25% or more. Then if there is some new highways and expressways, it also increases the values of the properties nearby these highways and expressways. Then, of course, airport proximity also increases the value of the asset. And then social infrastructures like availability of schools, hospitals, shopping complexes near the property of which you are doing valuation, it affects that also. And then what you have to look for is market trends. So Indian tangible asset markets exhibit distinct cyclical patterns influenced by economic conditions, investment sentiments, and supply demand dynamics. So if there is a supply demand imbalance especially in specific micro markets, especially in metro cities, this factor affects supply demand imbalances. Then interest rate movements affected affordability. If the interest rate increases, so number of persons going for loans for buying property, either for investment purpose or for their own purpose, it decreases. So the movement of interest rates, it affects affordability. You have to consider this point also. Then foreign direct investment in tangible assets. And of course, NRI investment patterns during currency fluctuations. These are the things as far as market trends are concerned, you have to look for when you are doing valuation. Then, of course, with the advent of IBPI and other regulatory authorities, the environment of valuation has changed all through it from Indian context. So regulatory environment, government policies and regulations significantly impact property values through control on land use, development potential, and transactional costs. So with the advent of RERA, it has changed the scenario all through. So RERA implementation and compliance requirements, floor space index and development control regulations you have to look for. Then tax implication, GST, stamp duty, capital gains. When you are doing valuation, you have to look for tax implications also. And then in case of foreign ownership properties, you have to look for foreign ownership restrictions and investment policies. You must be conversant with these things. So these are the two new things. Of course, not new things, but these are the things which, as a values in today's scenario, you have to conversant with. First thing is, what are the tax implications involved when you are doing valuations? GST, stamp duty, or capital gains, etc. And what are the things which are involved when there is foreign ownership? When you are doing valuation, what are the implications? What are the restrictions for them? And what are the investment policies for foreigners? So these four things are not new, but we are here revising what we have learned in MEP. We have already learned these things, but we are here revising all these things which we have already known to us. But there are certain new things which will be discussed in this presentation, which we are not able to consider during 50-hour MEP because of paucity of time. Then we will revise certain things which as a value you have learned, but we will still revising here. First thing is principle of property valuation. First thing, we should know the fundamental things. That is most important thing. Foundation of property valuation in India as elsewhere rests on distinguishing between different conceptual framework of value. So you must know the different types of value. What type of value you are asked to find out when you are doing valuation. You must be conversant with the basic of that value. And for most of the time, you are concerned with the market value. And market value, you know its definition. All of us know that the market value is the estimated amount for which a property should exchange on the date of valuation between a willing buyer and a willing seller in an arm's length transaction after proper marketing, wherein both the parties had acted knowledgeably, prudently, and without compulsion. So this is the basic thing. So as a value, you have when you are doing valuation for IBPI, you have to give the definition of that value which you are finding. And in most of the cases, of course, market value you have to find. And then when you are doing valuation, most of the time you are finding fair market value or fair value. So there is hairline difference between market value and fair value. So what is fair value basically? So fair value is, see here, the price that would be received on selling an asset or paid to transfer a liability in an orderly transaction. Here the word is in an orderly transaction. When you are doing valuation, when you are finding fair market or fair value means the transaction is orderly transaction. Orderly transactions means that occurs under normal market conditions. Means that the persons involved are not under any compulsion. So between market participants and on the date of valuation. So this is fair value. So there is a line difference between market value and fair value. And then investment value, when you are doing valuation for investment purpose. So the value of an asset to a particular owner. So see here, when you are doing valuation for investment purpose, you are doing it for a particular owner, for a particular person, or a prospective buyer for individual investment or operational objectives. So he may be paying more or less than the market value or fair value. So you have to advise him from investment point. And then most of the time when you are doing valuation for insurance purposes, and for insurance purposes, you know you have to find out replacement value. So what is replacement value? So replacement value is the cost to replace an asset with similar item having same utility. This is the important thing. Cost to replace an asset with the same item, similar item, sorry, having same utility. Often used for insurance purposes rather than market transactions. So these are the basic things which as a registered valuer or a prospective registered valuer you should know. So these are also important from examination point of view also. And then the most important principle as far as Indian market is concerned, principle of substitution. So what is principles of substitution? So principle of substitution, it states that a buyer will not pay more for a property than the cost of acquiring an equally desirable substitute. A buyer will not pay more for a property than the cost of acquiring an equally desirable substitute. So this principle operates distinctly in urban centers. But of course, it is not applicable in all the cases. Because now it should be there, but the market conditions in certain Indian cities are such that this condition cannot be implemented everywhere, especially in cities like Mumbai. where because of extreme land constraints and status-driven neighborhood preferences often violate this principle. With buyers paying significant premium for specific location. Of course, you have to look for that, but there are exceptions to this principle, especially in metro cities like Mumbai. Similarly, in Bangalore, the IT corridor demonstrate more rational substitution patterns with price equilibrium between comparable tech hubs. And in Delhi, NCR, extreme variations between micro markets create distinct substitution zones with limited crossover. And of course, this principle is mostly applicable in tier 2 cities like Lucknow, Jaipur, where substitution operates more predictably as status premiums are less pronounced in this. So the principle underlines the comparative methods of valuation, but requires nuanced application in India's society, socially stratified urban landscape. So these are the basic things which we already know, but we are just revising what we have already learned. Though there may not be many new things there, but we need to revise these things. And then there are 3 or 4 methods mostly used in Indian context. So now we will discuss about the overview of some valuation methods. First method is a market comparison approach. We generally call it market approach. So what we do here, this is a most intuitive and widely used method, especially for residential properties. It determines the value by comparing the subject property with a similar recently sold property, making adjustment for differences in practice. What we do here? We find the value by comparing the subject property with similarly recently sold property and making adjustment for differences in practices. This is the basic principle of market comparison approach. So it is extensively used in urban centers like Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore, where transaction data is relatively abundant. So for this, the most important thing is you need transactional data. So which is not available in all the cases. So if the transactional data which which is reliable and which is available abundantly, which you can use by making certain adjustment in that, then you should and you can go for this method, that is market comparison approach. And then the next approach is income approach. So in income approach, what we do? We calculate the value of the asset on the basis of income it generates. So whether it is real estate, whether it is plant and machinery. When you are doing valuation of an asset from the income it generates, then we know it is income approach. So primarily used for income generating properties such as commercial spaces, rental apartments, or industrial facilities. It determines value based upon present value of expected future income. So there are 2 methods in income approach: direct capitalization and yield capitalization. And in direct capitalization, you use a single year's income to calculate the value of the asset. And if you consider the income of a number of years to calculate the value of that asset, then we call it yield capitalization, as in the case of discount cash flow methods. So all of you have learned this method, and the thing which basically you consider is year's purchase, and you know what is year's purchase. So anybody who can explain what is year's purchase? From a, it may be, you should not explain it from technical point of view, but if you have to tell a layman about the concept of year's purchase.
A factor which multiplies the continuous income, periodic continuous income to R of a single value, present single value.
Thank you, sir. So basically, a year's purchase is at a certain percentage of rate of interest. How many number of years income will be equal to the capitalized value of the property? From a layman's point of view, how many number of years income? It may be 20, 30 means how, at a certain percentage of rate of interest, for how many years of income you have to take into consideration, that will be equal to value of capitalized value of the property. That is year's purchase, basically from layman's point of view. Of course, it is a multiplying factors. By using that multiplying factor, you can calculate the capitalized value of the property. So it is commonly used for commercial properties in business districts of major cities where rental yield analysis is required, especially in metropolitan areas. And then, of course, cost approach. So cost approach is basically the method we are as a value have been using so far from our day work. But though it is not useful in all the cases, but we are using this method. So what we do here, especially in the case of land and building, what we do, we calculate the value of the land and then we calculate the value of the depreciated replacement cost of the building, and we then add both of them to calculate the value of the asset. That is cost of. And for plant and the machinery, we consider the market value of the plant, present market value of the plant, and then we apply depreciation over it to calculate the depreciated replacement cost. So that is cost approach. So basically we use this method where limited transactional data is available. Of course, if you have abundant transactional data, especially in metro cities, you can use market approach. But in tier 2 cities or smaller cities or villages, you do not have requisite transactional data to go for market approach. And there you are left with only one option, that is cost approach. And then Of course, in certain cases, you may have to use belting method. So where we use belt method, where you can use this belting method.
Large amount of land, huge amount of land for calculating
So
the
where the
Large chunk
depth
of
of
land.
land is relatively large,
Chunk of
distance
land
course,
from
is
highway
large, but
towards
the
the other
depth
end.
is high and the frontage is very less.
yes.
Then we use a belting method.
When of course it is a large chunk of land that is important, but it may not be large chunk of land also. But where the width is less as compared to its depth, where the width of the land is very less than as compared to its depth, we use belting. So it is uniquely prominent method in Indian urban context that divides the land into belts based on its distance from the main roads, with values decreasing as the distance increases. So this is frequently used for plots in commercial areas like Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, etc. And then land and building methods. It is similar to cost approach. But here what we do, we separate the value of the land and separate the value of the building and add both of them to calculate the value of the asset. So it is generally used for properties with a significant land value component in urban centers. Now we will be discussing different methods. The appropriate valuation method depends upon property type, available data, purpose of valuation, and the regional market characteristics. In practice, professional values often employ multiple approaches to arrive at a comprehensive assessment, particularly for high-value complex properties. So you may have to use more than one method to calculate the value, then arrive at a particular value. Then you must know about the regulatory framework in India.
This meeting is being transcribed for AI content.
Please mute yourself. Until and unless you need to ask some question, please mute yourself. Please do not disturb others. So regulatory framework in India, especially, with the advent of RERA, the things have dramatically changed. So for Tangible Asset Regulation Act, RERA, was implemented in 2016. RERA has transformed the tangible asset landscape in India with significant implication from property valuation. So what are the basic things in RERA? First, it meant you have, if the area of the land is more than 500 square meters, you have to get registered with the RERA. So mandatory registration for all the projects above 500 square meters. So in area, before the advent of area, there were certain areas, built up area, carpet area, common area, many things were there, but now the RERA has brought only one standardized area calculation, that is carpet area. You have to remember that. And then transparent pricing requirement and prohibition of arbitrary charges. Then creation of state level regulatory authorities with a dispute resolution mechanism. And of course, this is important. escrow requirement for project funds to prevent diversion. And then the thing which you should know is government circular rate. So circle rates, it is sometimes also called ready reckoner rate, collector rate, or maybe certain other names in your state. So what is this government circular rate? It is basically minimum official value for the property transaction. It is minimum official value for property transaction.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Sir, this RERA and government circle rates are there for land and building. Is there any counterpart for plant and machinery? Any regulatory authority?
So, sir, we will discuss all these things in the coming
Sir,
slides.
thank you.
So these are the rates which are set by the revenue department of the state governments. So it is typically revised every 1 to 3 years, though often delayed. These rates vary by locality, property type, and uses category. These serve as the basis for stamp duty and registration fee calculation. And these are used by the income tax authorities to verify declared transaction values. What these things have brought? The first thing is RERA has improved transparency, accountability, and making comparative valuations more reliable. But though certain states have implemented RERA in two spheres, but all the states have not implemented it properly. And similarly, the problem is when you are doing valuation, there is a huge gap between circle rates and actual market values, which creates valuation challenges for the valuers. So in premium localities such as in Delhi and Mumbai, the market values exceeds the circle rates by 50 to 100% in certain cases. So maybe in certain areas the circle rate exceeds the market value. So now we will be taking each and every method separately. First, we will be discussing about the sales comparison approach, which is also called market approach simply. So sales comparison approach is the most widely used valuation method in India. Particularly for residential properties, this approach operates on the principle that a property's value can be estimated by analyzing recent comparable properties in the same market areas. This is used especially for residential apartment valuations in urban centers, independent house valuations in established colonies, land parcel comparisons in developing areas, and secondary market transactions for all property types. The effectiveness of this approach depends heavily upon the availability of reliable transaction data, which can be challenging in India's opaque tangible asset markets. However, with increasing digitization of property records and growth of online property platforms, data accessibilities have improved substantially in major urban centers. So what we do in market comparison or sales comparison approach? Here the basic formula is subject property value, it is equals to comparable sale price plus minus adjustments. This is a basic formula. Comparable sale price plus minus adjustment. So where adjustment accounts for differences between subject property and comparable properties in terms of location, quality, and accessibility, size, layout, and number of rooms, quality and of construction and days, amenities and facilities, legal status and clarity, and time elapsed since comparable sale. What are the steps which are involved in sales comparison approach? First of all, we have to do, first step is to do market research and property identification. So the valuation process for under this approach starts with the identification of comparable properties that have been recently sold in the vicinity of the subject property. On the same locality or in the same micro market. So for that, what you can refer to certain property portals such as Magic Bricks, 99 Acres, and Housing.com, etc. Then you can consult the local brokers who have often information on actual transaction prices, which may differ from the listed prices. Then you can review the sale transactions from sub-registrar's office if where the records are available, and you can examine new project launches in the vicinity of that area. So this is how you can identify the recent sales in the vicinity of that property, of the subject property. And then from the data collected, you have to select a certain comparables. So from the available data, you select 3 to 5 properties that most closely resemble the subject properties in terms of property type and configuration, such as 2 BHK, 3 BHK, etc. Then built up area or carpet area, building age and quality, floor level, which is critical from in Indian apartment buildings, amenities and maintenance quality, proximity to subject property, ideally within 1 to 2 kilometers. So from the collected data, you have to select 3 to 5 properties on the basis of these things. And then next step is data verification and adjustment identification. Then you have to verify the data which you have selected. And then you have to make certain adjustment, and then before making adjustment, you have to identify what adjustments you need to make in the data. Only then you can apply the adjustment.
And these are the most commonly used steps for market approach. Sometimes during inspection, when your report is being challenged during the inspection by the authority or from any RVO team or from any court, then you will not be able to, sometimes you are not able to explain the steps you have followed for land and building or for finding the valuation, final value of your report. So it is very important to follow the each and every step during your valuation process, and each and every step to be mentioned in your report for transparency and for record purposes, and to be produced at the time of inspection of any from any statute or authority. Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
So first you have collected the data, then from the data you have selected certain comparable properties. Then first thing is you verify the accuracy of data. How you can verify that data? So confirm transaction prices through multiple sources wherever when possible. And then physically inspect the comparable properties if they are accessible. Then identify specific differences requiring this adjustment. Before applying adjustment, you have to identify what are the adjustments you need to make in them. And then consider time adjustment for older transactions, particularly important in the volatile markets. Then next step is application of adjustment. So apply percentage or absolute value adjustment to account for differences. What differences may be there? Size adjustment, typically per square feet, per square meter basis. Time adjustment based on market appreciation, depreciation. Quality adjustment for construction, finishings, and conditions. Then local adjustment for micro location advantages and disadvantages. And for amenity adjustment for facility differences. So these are certain things. So there may be many other things which you can consider. So you have to make adjustments, and for adjustment you need to first identify the adjustment and then quantify that adjustments. That is important thing. So that is where your expertise come into play. So because there are no hard and fast rules that this percentage or this amount has to be applied. So this is for you to decide. So then first, the next step is reconciliation of value indicators. So analyze the adjusted values to arrive at a final estimation. Calculate the adjusted value for each comparable. Determine the range of indicated values. Assign weightage based on degree of similarity and data reliability. And reconcile to a single point estimate or narrow. So basically what happens is when you apply market approach, you will not get a single price, a single value. You will get a range, of value. And from that range of value, you have to arrive at a single value, single point estimate you have to calculate. So this is how this market approach is applied. And then what are the factors that affect comparability? First thing is, as we all have already discussed about the location nuisance. Location comparability in Indian cities requires nuanced understanding of micro market dynamics. First thing is social hierarchy. So different sectors or blocks within the same neighborhood often carry significant status differentials that affect market pricing. Next is street positioning. Main road versus interior location, which can create 15 to 25% valuation difference. Then VASU compliance, which make 5 to 10% premium, especially east and north facing properties often combine 5 to 10% premium over southwest facing ones. Then in certain cases where reliable municipal water supply is available, and in certain cases where first people or inhabitants are tanker dependent, then flood vulnerability, particularly critical in cities like Chennai and Mumbai. Then power backup. So area with minimal power cuts command premium in cities with reliable electricity. Next is legal status of the property. So property titles in India have complications that significantly affect the value. Ownership structures, freehold versus leasehold properties, especially in Delhi and Mumbai, etc. Then approval status, when you are doing valuation, the area, may be fully approved or partially approved or regularized construction. So now there are three types of things: fully approved, partially approved, or regularized construction. Then occupancy certificates, which is not available in 95% of the cases. If the occupation certificate is available, of course it will command premium over those without. And then encumbrance status, clear title versus properties with legal disputes or loans. And then land use, confirming or non-confirming using pattern. So these are the certain things which are mostly from Indian context. And then proximity factors, whether the property is proximate to services such as metro stations. The properties which are nearer to the metro stations, they have 10 to 20% premium. If the property is nearer to the schools, especially prestigious schools such as BPS, Rayan International, etc., they again have premiums over other properties. Then accessibility to multi-specialty hospitals like Apollos, Fortis, etc. Then commercial hubs, so it's a distance from the IT parks, special economical zones or CBD areas. And then if the property is nearer to the retail centers, walking distances to the market and malls, then distance from the airport and railway station, convenient access to transportation hubs. And then, of course, when you are buying from the builder's reputation is also very important. These are the things we generally ignore while doing valuation. Builder's reputation. That if the builder is able to hand over the possession within the stipulated time period and the quality of construction given by the builder. So in India's fragmented development markets, builders' reputation significantly impact property values. So premium developers such as DLF, Prestige, Godrej, they command 20 to 30% premium over local developers. Then track record of timely delivery and quality construction. Post handover maintenance qualities and responsiveness. Financial stability and likelihood of the perfect completion. we will be taking an example. So maybe all the calculations have already been done. We will not be going into details of the calculation. We are just taking an examples to make the things clear how the things are done in market approach. Otherwise, the calculation work you have already done it during your MEP. So let us examine a real world valuation example of a 3-bed PHK apartment in Mumbai's western suburbs. Subject property is a 1200 square feet 3 BHK apartment in Lokhandwala complex, Andheri West. It is a 10-year-old building in a gated society. It is situated on 7th floor with partial sea view. It has 2 covered parking spaces attached to it. The society amenities include swimming pool, gym, and children's play area. And it is having 24-hour security and power back. So this is the subject property of which you have to do the evaluation. This is just an example. So we collected the data and the comparable properties of which the data available is first one comparable is 1150 square feet 3 BHK in Lokhandwala in the same locality means it was sold for 3.68 crore rupees means rupees 32,000 per square feet. So it is a 15-year-old building. Our building is 10-year-old and this is 15-year-old building. It is situated on 5th floor. Our building is situated on the 7th floor with no sea view. Next, it is having the single parking. Our subject property is having 2 parking spaces. And then it is provided with the basic amenities. Then we have another comparable, which is 1,250 square feet, 3 BHK, which is situated in Warsaw. It was sold for 4.37 crore, means rupees 35,000 per square feet. It is a old 8-year-old building. It is situated in 9th floor, and it is having full sea view. It is again also provided with the 2 parking spaces, and then it is having premium amenities including infinity pool. So you have already done this type of example during your MEP. So here we apply grid approach. Grid method you have done. So we will be doing just go through the procedure, the detailed calculations you have how to carry out that. So adjustment factor, comparable 1, comparable 2 remarks. So base price 32,000 square feet per square feet, comparable to 35,000 per square feet, and for our subject property it has to be calculated. Location adjustment, it is the first property situated in the same locality, so 0% adjustment, and it is situated in a better locality, you have to bring it back. तो आपको पता है कि अगर बेटर है गरीब को अमीर करना है, अमीर को गरीब करना है, जो फंडा है. तो we apply a -3% weightage. Then age condition. Our property is 10-year-old, first comparably 15-year-old, so we applied 5% weightage. And the second property is 8-year-old, So we apply -2% weightage, about 1% per year. Similarly, floor level, our property is situated on 7th floor. This property is situated on 5th floor, and this property is situated in 9th floor. So accordingly, we apply weightages. For parking, this we are applying +3% because it is having the comparable one as having the one parking space. Our property our subject property and comparable to are having 2 parking spaces. So for comparable to, we do not apply any weightage for that. And then for amenities, it is having basic amenities. So we apply +3 weightage. It is having premium amenities. We apply -2%. So we calculate the total adjustment for comparable one. Total comparable adjustment is +15%, and for comparable two, it is -10%. So 32,000 multiplied by 1.15, it is 36,800. And second comes out to be 31,500. And we take the average of two, which comes out to be 34,150. And you multiply this 1,200 square feet with the 34,150, the value comes out to be about 4.098. So the value reflects the property's positioning within its micro market, capturing the premium for its age, view advantage, and superior amenities compared to the comparable one, while adjusting for a slight disadvantage compared to the premium offering comparable. So this is basic thing which we have already known to you. And those who are preparing for IBB examination, they must know this is a great approach. Another example, Lucknow 3 BHK apartment. The subject property is in Rishita, Manhattan, Gomti Nagar extension, Lucknow. Property type, it is an apartment building in a luxury high-rise development. Carpet area is 1,450 square feet. Built-up area is 650 square feet, including proportionate common areas. Super built-up area is 1,800 square feet, including additional facilities. Floor is 12th floor. It is situated on 12th floor out of 18th floor. Age 2 years since completion. Specifications: vitrified tile flooring, modular kitchen, premium fittings, etc. Amenities: it is having swimming pool, clubhouse, gym, landscaped gardens, children's play areas. It is provided with one covered parking. Location highlights: emerging premium residential area in East Lucknow, 5 kilometers from Loya Path, major arterial road, 10 kilometers from Hazrat Khan city center, proximity to upcoming Cancer Institute and the Sports University. Then circle rates, government circle rates is 5,800 per square feet. Super built up area. And minimum registration value is 1.04 crore, 1,800 into 5,800. It comes out to 1.04. So we collected the data from the nearby localities. First one is Letco Sophia. Where the rate is 6,700 per square feet. It was having better location. We applied a 7% weightage, and the adjusted rate is 7,169. Another is Ansal API Fernhill 3 BHK. Rate is 7,500, but it is having better amenities. We applied 3% amenities. Value adjusted rate is 7,313 per square feet. And then another comparable Omaxi Heights 7,300 minus 2% because of older building. The value is 7,154. So we reconciled, we calculated the adjusted average value 7,212 per square feet. The estimated value comes out to be 1.3 crore. So the market value exceeds the circle rate. See here, circle rate is 1.04 crore, and we calculated that the market value, which is 1.30 crore. So it is about 24% higher than the circle rates, which is typical for premium developments in emerging locations of tier 2 cities like Lucknow. The differential represents the premium for builders' reputation, superior specifications, and the rapid development of surrounding structure, so infrastructures that has not yet been captured in circle rates. Next is the advantages of comparison method. So what are its advantages? First thing is the real comparison approach excels at capturing current market conditions, buyers' preferences. In India's dynamic tangible asset market, this offers several benefits. Incorporates recent transaction data that reflects current economic conditions. It captures changing buyer preferences for amenities and locations. It accounts for more impact of new infrastructure projects. And it reflects market reactions to the policy changes like GST, RERA, and demonetization. And then this method is transparent and relatable. This approach resonates with the market participants because it mirrors how most buyers and the sellers actually think about property values. It is easy for non-experts to understand the basis of the valuation. It provides tangible reference points through comparable properties. It creates confidence through use of actual market transactions, and facilitates negotiation by establishing clear benchmarks. And it is adaptable to local conditions. The flexibilities of sales comparison method makes it particularly suitable for India's diverse market context. It is adjustable to both organized markets like metro apartments and less structured markets like independent houses. It can incorporates local factors like vastu considerations, water availability, and power reliability. And it can account for neighborhood specific amenities and cultural preferences. And it is adjustable for regional practices like inclusion, exclusion of balcony areas. So the sales comparison method has gained further reliability with growth of digital platforms like Prop Tiger, Magic Bricks, and 99 Acres. So because this method depends upon the availability of a reliable data. And with the advent of these digital platforms, it has further regained or got credibility. So in major metros, the availability of structured data has significantly enhanced the accuracy and reliability of this approach, making it the preferred methodology for residential property valuations. And it's, of course, like other things, it has also certain limitations. So data availability challenges. So in most of the cases, except in metro cities, we do not have reliable, abundant data which has to be used. So because of unreported transactions, a significant portion of property sales involves cash involved that do not appear in official records. And then local public access. Unlike in USA, India lacks comprehensive multiple listing services with verified transaction data. Then registration value versus actual value. There is a huge difference between registration value and actual values. So you can get the registered value, but you cannot get actual value from market. So you don't have any documentary proof of actual value. Then broker dependency. You have to rely upon the brokers for transaction data, so which introduces bias and inaccuracies. And then in urban areas, there are extremely limited documentation. Or in rural areas, you have extremely limited document, let's say, data available. And then the process of adjustment. So first thing is, as we have already discussed, is quantification challenges. You have decided about identified about the things to which you have to make adjustment. But how to quantify that? That is a major challenge. So quantification challenges. Then lack of standardization. No uniform guidelines for adjustment factors across the different regions. And then values may have preconceptions about certain locations and developers. And then client pressures. Valuers may face pressures to justify a predetermined value, particularly for mortgage purposes. So these limitations are particularly pronounced in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, where informal nature of the market makes reliable comparison difficult. Even in metro cities, certain luxury segments have so few transactions that finding truly comparable properties can be challenging. This is sales comparison approach. ठीक है संदीप जी, we can have a short tea break so that all are again able to concentrate on the coming slides. Sir, your voice is not audible.
So friends, let's take a short tea break for 20 minutes. It is 11:30 now. We will rejoin sharp at 11:50. And I want to remind you that this meeting is totally controlled by AI, by the observers. If your face is not visible on the screen and your eyes are not contact with the screen, then it will automatically mark you absent. तो आप उसके बाद में अगर मुझसे बोलेंगे कि मैंने अटेंड किया था, So friends, welcome back after the morning tea break. We are going to continue the session.
So, as far as AI is concerned, it has made inroads in all departments. So we are lucky that as far as from Indian context is concerned, because of non-availability of abundant data, AI is not able to make inroads. Otherwise, in developed countries, many things have changed because their data is basically AI uses the available data on the internet. And in developed countries, especially in USA, Canada, all the things are on already there. Digitization is already there as far as tangible assets are concerned. And AI have dramatically changed the scenario there. But of course, in other fields related to our, not from a valuation point of view, other those who are architects, they know. You just give them detail about the size of the plot, and then AI will give you n number of plans. Similarly, in other fields also, AI make inroads. So, but we have to conversant with it. So next topic, we have already discussed about the cost approach, sales comparison approach or market approach. Now we will be starting our next topic, that is income approach. So in income approach, what we do? We consider the income generating by the asset, and from that we calculate the value of the asset. So the value basically we calculated from income generation, that is called capitalized value of the asset. So the income approach, it determines the property value based on its income generating potential, treating tangible assets as an investment that should provide returns commensurate with the risk. So not only the income generator potential is to be considered income approach. Another thing which is important is returns that are commensurate with the risk. Means what are the risks involved in maintaining that income continuously? That is to be considered. So this approach is widely used for commercial property, rental, residential units, and industrial facilities across India. The fundamental premise is that a property's value equals to the present value of expected future income. First thing is, property's value equals the present value of expected future income. So here you have to calculate how many number of years income you have to consider. And then you have to account for risk and returns expectations. That is where we lack, especially land and building and plant and machinery values. They generally ignore this factor, risk and return expectations. So this approach is particularly relevant in India's growing investment property market, where yield-based decision making is becoming increasingly sophisticated. So as far as primary applications of this income approach is concerned from Indian point of view, it is applied in commercial office spaces in business districts. It is applied for retail properties, including shopping malls and high street shops to the industrial properties and warehouses. It is applied to the rental apartment buildings and PG accommodations. Hospitality properties like hospitals, service apartments, and mixed-use development with significant rental components. So these spot hospitality properties like hotels, service apartments, these comes under the category of profit method. Of course, it is similar to this income approach method. So this approach has gained prominence with growth of institutional investment in Indian tangible assets, including the introduction of tangible asset investment trust (REITs), which rely heavily on income-based valuations. So the basic key formula which we use in the income approach, direct capitalization. In case of direct capitalization, we have already discussed about there are two methods. One is direct capitalization and the other one is yield capitalization. In direct capitalization method, value it is equals to net operating income of which is generated from the asset divided by capitalization. So here we consider the net operating income of a single year's net operating income. How it will be calculated, we will discuss in the coming slides. As of now, you must understand that we have to consider first thing is it should be annual. Second thing is it should be net operating. So you have to calculate net operating income, annual net operating income of a single year. And then you have to divide it with the capitalization rate. That will give you the capitalized value of the property. And the second method is discount cash flow. So here we take the income from a number of years, 5 to 10 years. And then we calculate the present value of discounted present value of that incomes. And then we calculate the sum of these incomes. That is this sigma cash flow divided by 1 plus r raised to power t. So you know this is present value factor. 1 over 1 plus r raised to power t means time. Time may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what are the number of years. So you calculate its sum that give you discounted cash flow. And then to it, you have to add terminal value. So what is terminal value? Means the income will continue even after 10 years. And we have to consider that also. And then you have to calculate that terminal value and find the present value of that terminal value. So you add both of them, that will give you the value of the discounted cash flow. Please mute yourself. So where net operating income? So in this formula, net operating income is gross income minus operating expenses. Capitalization rate is expected rate of return of the property type. And R, here this is discount rate, usually derived from risk-free rate plus risk-free. And terminal value. So how the terminal value is calculated? Whenever you are applying discount cash flow method, you have to calculate terminal value. And that terminal value is net operating income in the exit years. Means if you are calculating discount cash flow for 10 years, means you have to take net operating income of the 10th year divided by terminal capitalization rate. So that is terminal value. So while direct capitalization is more commonly used for stabilized properties, so see here where direct capitalization is used. It is used for stabilized properties, and discount cash flow analysis is preferred for properties with variable income projections. So if the income is same every year, you are getting same rent every year, say it's 10,000. You are getting same income every year, then you will be applying this direct capitalization. But if the income changes every year, if the cash flow changes every year, then you will be using discount cash flow. So basically formula is the same. Even for discount, for this direct capitalization, you can apply the same formula. But that calculation will increase, so it will give the same result to you. But remember, if you are getting same income every year, then you will be applying this direct capitalization, and if the income varies every year, then you will be applying discount cash flow. So now we will discuss what are the steps involved in income approach method. First of all, you have to estimate potential gross income. So potential gross income means if you are having a property which you are giving it on rent, means if it is 100% occupied throughout the years, that is potential gross income, whatever rent it will get. If it is 100% occupied throughout the year, no vacancy, that is potential gross income. So the first step involves calculating the total potential gross income if the property were fully occupied at the market rental rates. So what you have to do, you have to research current market rents for the similar properties in the area. Analyze the existing lease agreement if the property is already tenanted. So it is not that you can apply this method only to the properties which are given on rent or are on lease. You can apply the same thing even if the property is not on the rent or lease, given on lease. And if it is given on lease, you will have the direct data available to you. Otherwise, you have to research current market rents for similar properties in the area. And if the property is already given on lease, you have to take that rents into consideration. Then estimate rental growth based on market trends and lease escalation clause as the case may be. Then include additional income sources like parking fees, service charges, and of course billboard rentals, etc. For example, a building in a commercial building in Bangalore's Whitefield with 20,000 square foot leasable area at ₹70 per square feet per month would have a potential gross income of 1.68 crore annually. What you have to do, 20,000 multiplied by 70 multiplied by 12. You have to calculate this income annually. So that will give you the gross income, annual gross income. And once you have calculated the potential gross income, then you have to look for the outgoings. Means, first of all, you calculate the vacancy and collection loss. Account for the income loss due to vacant spaces and non-payment. Research typical vacancy rates in the micro market, for example, 5 to 15% for commercial spaces in major Indian cities, assets, tenant quality, and historical collection efficiency.
फ्रेंड्स, कभी भी कॉस्ट के बेस पे आप प्रॉपर्टी की वैल्यू नहीं कर सकते. दैट इज द रॉन्ग अप्रोच. कॉस्ट अगर प्रॉपर्टी की कुछ है तो उसके बेस पे आप उसके हिसाब से वैल्यू करके अगर देते हैं, देन यू विल बी you can be wrong in your calculations. Suppose एक एग्जांपल है, एक 5 लाख रुपए का प्रॉपर्टी है. The cost of the machinery or asset is 5 lakh rupees, and he is able to generate an income, whether rental income or production, of 5,000 rupees per year or per annum. इसी तरह एक मशीन है, 5,000 रुपीज उसका कॉस्ट है और वो 1,000 रुपीज पर एनम जनरेट कर रही है. तो किस मशीन की वैल्यू ज्यादा होगी? एनीवन? Please unmute yourself and please answer. Anyone?
The property giving maximum returns on its investment will be preferred.
या एक मशीन की कॉस्ट या एक एसेट की कॉस्ट 5 लाख रुपया है और वो 5,000 रुपया कमा कर दे रही है. इन हिंदी सिंपल लैंग्वेज, एक 5,000 रुपए का प्रॉपर्टी है या मशीनरी है, छोटा सा मशीन है, वो आपको 1,000 रुपया पर एनम कमा कर दे रही है. Which property will be fetching more value than other?
5,000 रुपए कमा के देने वाली मशीन की वैल्यू ज्यादा होगी.
नहीं, 5,000 रुपए कमा कर देने वाली या 5,000 रुपए की कॉस्ट वाली?
5,000 कॉस्ट.
सेकेंड वाली मशीन सर.
5,000 की कॉस्ट वाली सर.
5,000 रुपए कॉस्ट वाली.
परसेंटेज रिटर्न इन
तो किसकी वैल्यू ज्यादा होगी? एक अगर आपने वो मशीन दोनों में से एक चूज करनी है,
जो कम इन्वेस्टमेंट में ज्यादा.
5,000 रुपए कॉस्ट वाली.
जो कम इन्वेस्टमेंट में ज्यादा प्रॉफिट.
दैट इज द बेसिक फंडामेंटल ऑफ इनकम अप्रोच. इनकम अप्रोच इसके अलावा कुछ भी नहीं है. जब आपको ये कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में आ गया कि किस प्रॉपर्टी से हमें पर कैपिटा पर एनम इनकम ज्यादा मिल रही है, वो प्रॉपर्टी की वैल्यू ज्यादा है, तो इनकम अप्रोच आपको समझ में पूरी तरह आ जाएगा. अगर आपको ये कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में नहीं आया तो अनम्यूट करके मुझसे दोबारा पूछिए. 5 लाख रुपए का प्रॉपर्टी आपने खरीदा, मशीन खरीदा, वो आपको 10,000 रुपए कमा कर दे रहा है. लेट इट बी 10,000, थोड़ा फिगर बदल देते हैं. वो आपको 10,000 रुपीज पर एनम कमा कर दे रही है. एक 5,000 रुपए का मशीन आपने खरीदा, वो आपको 1,000 रुपए कमा कर दे रही है. तो कौन सी मशीन की वैल्यू आपकी नजर में एज अ कंज्यूमर ज्यादा होगी?
5,000 रुपए मशीन की.
तो आप हमेशा 5,000 वाली मशीन खरीदेंगे. आपको 5 लाख से क्या लेना देना. लेकिन अगर आप उसको कॉस्ट अप्रोच से करेंगे तो वैल्यू ज्यादा आएगी, और इनकम अप्रोच से करेंगे तो 5,000 वैल्यू ज्यादा है. तो दोनों में देखिए कितना फर्क है. कहाँ 5 लाख है, कहाँ 5,000 है. इज इट क्लियर टू एवरीवन?
Sir, I think that is not correct, sir.
Okay, sir, please continue. Sorry to interrupt, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep. So next is once you have calculated the potential gross income from the asset, then you have to look for the outgoings. So what outgoings may be there? First one is you calculate the vacancy and collection loss. Vacancy means number of units which remain vacant in a building during the annual that period for which you are doing calculation. So research typical vacancy rates in micro market, which is varies from 5 to 15% generally in commercial spaces in major metro Indian cities. And then collection depends upon the quality of tenants. And you have to assess the tenant quality and historical collection efficiency. So maybe there are certain tenants who run away without paying rent to the owner. So there may be certain cases where this problem exists. So you have to look for that also. And then every property have its specific conditions. So you have to consider property specific factors affecting leasability of the property. And then you have to look for the factors in lease renewal patterns and tenant turnover cost. So for example, we have calculated 1.68 crore. This is potential gross income. So let us suppose in the same example, vacancy and collection loss is approximately 10%. It means 90% would be the effective gross income. So see the difference between potential gross income and effective gross income. From the potential gross income, you have to deduct vacancy and collection loss. That will give you effective gross income. And effective gross income comes out to be 1.514.
या सर मैं ऐड करना चाहूंगा. देखिए एक दो अलग अलग कंपेरेबल हम इंस्टेंसेस लेते हैं. लेट इट बी फ्रॉम द अभी लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग की तरफ चलते हैं. लेट इट बी लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग की तरफ. आपको थोड़ा कंसेप्ट क्लियर हो जाएगा. वी आर हैविंग टू different scenarios या comparable instances for land and building. The area of plot is 20 marla or 1 canal, 500 square yard. Let it be for an example. एक प्रॉपर्टी है, बहुत बढ़िया बिल्डिंग बनी हुई है, डबल स्टोरी बिल्डिंग बनी हुई है, A1 कंस्ट्रक्शन है, A1 मटेरियल इस्तेमाल किया गया, टाइल्स लगाई है, मार्बल्स लगाया है, पूरा इंटीरियर है, बहुत बढ़िया किया हुआ है, और उसको बाउंड्री बनी हुई है, बहुत अच्छी मेंटेन्ड है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी एंड ईच एंड एवरी फैसिलिटी इज देयर. उसको रेंट पर देते हैं. उसका रेंट आता है, लेट इट बी 60,000 पर मंथ. लेट इट बी 60,000 पर मंथ. इट इज जस्ट फॉर एग्जांपल. सेम एक प्लॉट है इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया के पास में, एक सबर्न प्लॉट है, विलेज के कंसीडर करते हैं, लेट इट बी. बुरे हालात हैं, उसके ऊपर उसने क्वार्टर्स बनाए हुए हैं, लेबर क्वार्टर्स बनाए हुए हैं, बाले की छत है, वुडन बैटन रूफिंग है, एंड मड कंस्ट्रक्शन है, और उसके ऊपर उसने 20 क्वार्टर बनाए हुए, और एक क्वार्टर का किराया वो 4,000 रुपए लेता है. तो उसका टोटल जो रेंट अगर आप कैलकुलेट करें तो 80,000 आ रहा है. और अगर आप दूसरी कंपेरेबल बिल्डिंग जो A1 क्लास है, उसका रेंट 50,000 है पर मंथ. तो किसकी वैल्यू ज्यादा होगी? उसकी प्रॉपर्टी की प्लॉट की वैल्यू जो इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया में है, दैट इज नॉट मोर देन 5 or 10 lakhs. और टोटल उसकी वैल्यू 10 या 15 लाख से ज्यादा नहीं होगी, इंक्लूडिंग कंस्ट्रक्शन. और जो बिल्डिंग है 1 कनाल की, जो 1 कनाल के अंदर प्रॉपर बिल्डिंग बनी हुई है, उसकी 1 करोड़ के आसपास वैल्यू एज पर कॉस्ट अप्रोच. तो आप किसकी प्रॉपर्टी की वैल्यू एज पर इनकम अप्रोच ज्यादा लेंगे? क्योंकि इनकम फैचिंग प्रॉपर्टी है, दोनों से रेंट आ रहा है. विच प्रॉपर्टी विल फैच मोर वैल्यू देन द अदर?
इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया वाली.
तो यहां पर लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग कॉन्सेप्ट जो अभी तक हम लोग बैंकों के लिए दे रहे हैं, जब कभी भी कोई वैल्यूएशन आता है, लैंड की वैल्यू कैलकुलेट करी, लैंड का एरिया कैलकुलेट करिए, मल्टीप्लाई बाय रेट, देन कंस्ट्रक्शन की एरिया कैलकुलेट किया, मल्टीप्लाई बाय रिप्लेसमेंट कॉस्ट, रिप्लेसमेंट वैल्यू, रिप्लेसमेंट एस्टिमेटेड वैल्यू, उसके बाद में आप कैलकुलेट करके देते हैं. इज इट द करेक्ट प्रोसीजर? Anyone? Is it the correct procedure we are following?
No.
सभी के लिए सेम है. मैं भी आपके बीच में से ही हूं. यहाँ पर सभी
प्राइमरी पर्पस ऑफ, जब प्रॉपर्टी का प्राइमरी पर्पस चेंज हो गया, देन मेथड दूसरा अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा उसके लिए.
सर अगर इनकम
we have to judge by various methods and come to an conclusion.
If the property is fetching income, अगर वो लीज पर है या रेंट कंट्रोल एक्ट के अंडर है, तो आप कॉस्ट अप्रोच को इस्तेमाल नहीं कर सकते, नहीं करना चाहिए। दैट इज रॉन्ग। अगर चैलेंज होता है देन यू कैन बी इन ट्रबल एंड यू हैव टू फेस अ लाउड म्यूजिक। इज इट क्लियर टू एवरीवन? कोई डाउट है तो पूछिए। अगर प्रॉपर्टी रेंट पर है, लीज पर है, रेंट कंट्रोल एक्ट के अंदर आती है, या फिर उसको लॉन्ग टर्म लीज पर दिया गया है, परपेचुअल लीज है या शॉर्ट टर्म लीज है, तो आप उसको हमेशा इनकम अप्रोच से ही करना चाहिए और उसके हिसाब से ही वैल्यू निकालना चाहिए। सर मिस्टर सुनील, प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ। सुनील पुरी सर।
सर ये कैसे पता चलेगा कि वो रेंट कंट्रोल एक्ट में है, कहाँ है, कैसे?
So that is the duty of a valuer.
I mean, where to search?
Yes. ये आप जब प्रॉपर्टी के अंदर एंटर करते हैं तो आपको पता चल जाएगा अगर द ओनर इज जी। आप अनम्यूट करिए, आपके पीछे वॉइस बहुत ज्यादा आ रहा है।
चीज पूछना चाह रहा हूँ कि सर जैसे एक हॉस्पिटल का वैल्यूएशन किया अपन ने, तो उस हॉस्पिटल में लैंड, बिल्डिंग, मशीन तीनों का वैल्यूएशन हो जाएगा ना अगर इनकम अप्रोच से किया है तो?
सर इनकम अप्रोच से अगर आप उसको इनकम काउंट करके कर रहे हैं,
हाँ,
तो इनकम अप्रोच आपको इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा। अगर आप उसको इनकम अप्रोच से नहीं करें, दैट इज आल्सो केस स्टडी इन दिस सेशन। वी विल लर्न दिस इन द फोर्थकमिंग स्लाइड्स।
ओके।
तो पुरी साहब, आई थिंक आई वाज एबल टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चन। तो जब आप प्रॉपर्टी को विजिट करते हैं तो उसी वक्त आपको पता चल जाता है वेदर द ओनर इज ऑक्यूपाइंग द प्रॉपर्टी और नॉट। इफ ओनर इज नॉट ऑक्यूपाइंग द प्रॉपर्टी, तो क्यों नहीं कर रहा है, क्या प्रॉब्लम है, या फिर कौन रह रहा है और उसके क्या वेयर अबाउट्स हैं और किस लिए वो वहां पर ऑक्यूपाई ओनर का नहीं है। तो उसको आप थोड़ा सा डेवलप करेंगे तो आपकी सिक्स सेंस अपने आप बता देगी कि कुछ ना कुछ गड़बड़ है। कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि ओनर दिखा देता है कि मेरे पास ही प्रॉपर्टी, लेकिन उसके पास होती नहीं। तो आप 2-3 क्वेश्चन करते हैं, एक तरीके से उसको क्वेश्चनिंग करते हैं, तो वो अपने आप बता देता है मीटर किसके नाम पे है, कितना बिल आया था, पुराना बिल दिखाइए, वाटर का बिल दिखाइए। अगर टेनेंट होगा तो उसके पास कुछ चीजें नहीं होंगी, या वो कुछ चीजों का आंसर आपको नहीं दे पाएगा, स्मार्ट क्वेश्चंस का आंसर वो नहीं दे पाएगा। तो आप इमीडिएट बता देंगे कि ये ओनर नहीं है, ये यहाँ पर किसी को प्लांट किया हुआ है। Yes, sir. Please continue, sir. Sorry to interrupt, sir. Please.
Okay, thank you, Sandeep ji, for your valuable input. So we have calculated effective gross income. Then you have to deduct the operating expenses. So what comes under the heading of operating expenses? So property tax, which varies significantly by cities, which is generally 2 to 5% of the rental value in India. Then maintenance cost, maintenance of common area, maintenance, repairs, etc. Then insurance premiums, which is to be paid by the owner. Then utility expenses not recovered from the tenants. Property management fees, typically 2 to 4% of effective gross income. And then security expenses, which is particularly significant from Indian context. So let us suppose gross operating expenses in our example is, let us suppose, is 36 lakh. So the net operating income will come out to be 1.5 lakh minus 36 lakh, 1.15. So this is how you will arrive at the net operating income. So basically you have to look for net operating income annual for a single year. जी अनुज
सर एक मेरा क्वेश्चन था जो मैं प्रैक्टिकली भी फेस कर रहा हूँ सर। इसमें हम जो डेप्रिसिएशन है, कई बार हमारे पास बैलेंस शीट जो आती है और फिर वो प्रॉफिट लॉस स्टेटमेंट आती है, उसमें आता है डेप्रिसिएशन डाली होती है, तो वो हमने कंसिडर करनी चाहिए ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंसेस में या नहीं सर?
सर यहाँ पे डेप्रिसिएशन का कॉन्सेप्ट जो है वो कॉस्ट अप्रोच में ही आएगा। इनकम अप्रोच में जैसे संदीप जी ने आपको बताया कि कोई उसकी कॉस्ट कितनी है प्रॉपर्टी की, वो मैटर नहीं कर रही यहाँ। वहां से
सर
क्या
उन्होंने
कितनी हो रही है?
सर उन्होंने ना जब सीए की आती है ना, हमारे पास स्टेटमेंट आती है, तो उसमें लिखा होता है डेप्रिसिएशन भी नेट ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंसेस में डाली होती है सर। तो मैं उसकी बात कर रहा हूँ, उसको हमने कंसीडर करना कि नहीं करना सर?
So
नहीं,
I'll
आपने
just clarify on it. In case of depreciation, because it is a non-cash item and it is just for record purpose, this is recorded. So depreciation is not included as an operating expenses for the purpose of valuation.
राइट सर, राइट, थैंक यू।
जैसे टेंजेबल और इंटेंजेबल में फर्क है। जैसा अभी सबने पूछा हॉस्पिटल के बारे में, उसमें भी कुछ चीजें इंटेंजेबल होंगी, कुछ चीजें टेंजेबल होंगी। देन वी हैव टू लुक आफ्टर ईच एंड एवरी कंसेप्ट फॉर गिविंग द वैल्यू। जैसा पवन जी ने आपको बताया, कुछ टेंजेबल चीजें हैं, कुछ इंटेंजेबल चीजें हैं। जो टेंजेबल चीजें हैं वही हमें एज अ टेंजेबल वैल्यूअर कंसीडर करनी है। इफ यू आर हैविंग डाउट, तो आप उसके लिए एक इंटेंजेबल वैल्यूअर को अपने साथ में आप अपॉइंट कर सकते हैं और उनसे एक्सपर्ट ओपिनियन ले सकते हैं। देन उसके बाद आप अपनी रिपोर्ट दे सकते हैं। पवन जी, एम आई राइट सर?
Right, sir. This depreciation as a non-cash items are not included for the purpose of, these are actually added back to the profits to reach at the actual profit levels.
Yes.
When you have to, a certain as per the income method, तो income actual में क्या है, वो depreciation बाद में net profit होता है, जैसे P&L में, तो उसमें depreciation करके आता है net profit, तो you have to add back net profit में depreciation and then calculate the real amount of net profits. For the purpose of your valuation, I'm saying, not for other any purpose.
Exactly, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your inputs.
Thank you, Pavanji, for your valuable input. And then you have to apply capitalization rate. So divide the net operating income by an appropriate capitalization rate to determine the property value, as we have already discussed this formula. So how this capitalization rate is decided? For that, you have to research for market capitalization rate for similar properties in the locality. Then you have to adjust it for property specific factors. And then you have to consider tenant quality and lease terms. And then factors in expected appreciation, depreciations you have to take. So these things you have to consider while deciding about the appropriate capitalization rate.
सर इसका कोई अप्रोप्रिएट कैपिटलाइजेशन रेट के लिए कुछ थंब रूल है, कुछ है हम जिसके लिए ले सकते?
आ रहा है सर, आप अभी थोड़ा वेट करिए, सब कुछ आएगा। In the coming slides, there are many things you are given. We will be discussing all these things in the coming slides.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Please have some patience. So let us suppose, as in the case we have calculated the net operating income as 1.15 crore, and suppose 8% is capitalization rate, but we have decided then the value will comes out to be 1.15 crore divided by 0.08. So the value comes out to be 14.38 crore. So this is just an example, not a real value case. So how this capitalization rate is decided or estimated? So what you can do? First thing is you must understand capitalization rate. So the capitalization rate, we generally call it cap rate, is critical metric income-based valuation representing the expected rate of return on a tangible asset investment based on the income it generates. It reflects the relationship between a property's net operating income and its market value. So what you can do, if you know you have calculated the net operating income of the property, you have collected the data of a similar property which we have been sold recently in the vicinity of the market, and you take its property value, you can back calculate the capitalization rate which can be applied to that property. Of course, you have to make certain adjustment in that. Otherwise, this formula is for capitalization rate, cap rate, net operating income divided by property value multiplied by 100. So what we generally, how we consider typical cap ranges in India. So you can refer to this table. For grade A commercial offices in tier 1 cities, you can take it from 7.5 to 8.5%, and tier 2 cities where you can take it from 9 to 11%. For grade B properties, commercial offices, 8, 9 to 10% in tier 1 cities, and the tier 2 cities 10 to 12%. For prime retail malls, etc., in tier 1 cities, it is 8 to 9% you can consider, and for tier 2 cities, 10 to 12%. For high street retail, 6 to 8% in tier 1 cities, and in tier 2 cities, 9.5 to 11%. For warehousing logistics, 8 to 9.5% in tier 1 cities, and in tier 2 cities, 9.5 to 11%. For data centers, 7 to 8% in tier 1 cities, and in tier 2 cities, 9 to 10%. Residential apartment, 2 to 4%, and for tier 2 cities, 4 to 6%. And for student housing, 5 to 7%, and in tier 2 cities, 7 to 9%. This is just thumb rules which you can use. For further details, you can refer to the valuation book of CEB, in which every detail is given. So in the Indian context, cap rates vary significantly based upon property type and usage of the property, location, quality, and growth prospects, age and condition of the building, market liquidity, and exit potential. These are the certain things on which the cap rate depends. So cap rates effectively represent risk premiums over risk-free investment. See here, what is cap rate? As a valuer, you must understand this thing. Cap rate represents the risk premiums over risk-free investment. So what is risk-free investment? The government bonds which are giving you a certain fixed percentage, it may be between 3 to 5%. And over it, you have to apply risk premiums. Because when you invest in a property, you have to take certain risk, and you have to add that risk premium. So a property risk increases. As the property risk increases, investor demands higher cap rates. So what will happen if the cap rate is higher? What will happen to the property's value? If the cap rate is higher, what will happen to the property's value?
Lower, it will be
It
lower.
will be lower.
Value will come
It will be
down.
lower.
Okay.
Lower.
So what it will
It
do?
will lower.
So which translate into lower valuation for the same income. Higher the capitalization rate, lower will be the value of the property. Because cap rate is in the denominator. See here. As the denominator increases, value will decrease. So now let us take an example. Pune commercial office. Property detail, subject property is a commercial office space in Viman Nagar, Pune. Built up area is 2,500 square feet. Location premium business district near Pune airport. Building age is 5 years, grade B plus office building. Current occupancy fully leased to an IT service company. Lease term is 3 plus 3 years lease with 15% escalation every 3 years. Current monthly rental is rupees 1 lakh, means 40 rupees per square feet per month. Okay, then maintenance, separate maintenance charges of rupees 7 per square feet per month. is collected from the tenant. This is a data available. So first of all, you have to calculate the annual gross income. So rental income is 12 number of months into 1 lakh per month. Total gross income per year is 12 lakh. And then recovery of 7 rupees per month as a maintenance charges. That comes out to be 2,10,000 per year. 12 into 7 into 2,500. So total gross income is 14,10,000. Then annual expenses. So let us suppose property tax is 60,000 per year. Maintenance expenses are 2,25,000 per year. Insurance is 15,000 per year. Property management charges are 30,000 per year. Total expenses are, you add all these things, total expenses comes out to be 3,30,000. So total net operating income is gross income minus operating expenses. So 14,10,000 minus 3,30,000. Net income is 10,80,000. So for grade B office in Pune, generally the cap rate is 8.5%. Adjustment for prime location minus 0.5%. Adjustment for quality tenant with long lease 0.25% minus. So total adjustment for building is plus 0.25%. So total add, so it comes out to be final selected cap rate is 8%. This is how the capitalization rate is decided based upon this thumb rule. So value will be equal to net operating income, which is 10,80,000 divided by cap rate, which is 0.08. So value comes out to be 1,35 lakh. So value per square feet will come out to be 1,35 lakh divided by 2,500 square feet the area. So rupees 5,400 per square feet. So see here, the value is 1,35 lakh. It is approximately, so annual income is 12 lakh. So value comes out to be 1,35 lakh, approximately 11 years income. 12 into 11, 1,32 lakh approximately. So this valuation represents approximately 11 years of the current annual rental income, which aligns with the typical expectations for commercial properties in the micro market. So next is another example of a retail mall in Bangalore. Property profile, medium-sized retail mall in Indiranagar, Bangalore. Total built-up area is 1,20,000 square feet over 4 floors. Leasable area is 90,000 square feet. Current occupancy is 85%, means 76,500 square feet is leased. Rest of area is vacant. Tenant, mixed tenants. Anchor department, it is having 40%. The fashion retail is 25%, F&B outlets 20%, entertainment 10%, and services 5%. Age of the building 8 years since construction, renovated 2 years ago. Location prime high street location with a high footfall. Parking basement parking for 200 vehicles. This is the data. So you calculate the area, rent. Approximately 36,000 square feet is with anchor stores. 85 rupees is getting per square feet per month. So for different tenants, you calculate the rent received from them. So total rent you can calculate from anchor, from fashion retail, F&B outlet, entertainment services. This is how you can calculate the rental income in case of when you are doing valuation of a mall. And then you have to calculate additional revenue streams, common area maintenance, 80 rupees per square feet per month. For 90,000 square feet, it comes out to 1 crore 65 lakh 60,000. Parking revenue, say, from the parking owner is getting 72 lakh per year. Advertising and promotions is getting 48 lakh per year. So total potential gross income, add all these, comes out to be 16 crore 12 lakh 11. And then you calculate vacancy and collection loss. Current vacancy is 15%, which is already given to you that 85% is occupied. Stabilized vacancy, expected stabilized vacancy 10%. Collection loss estimate 2%. So you take this as 12%. So the total deductions comes out to be 12% of 16 lakh crore, 12 lakh 11,000, 1 crore 93 lakh 45,320. Effective gross income is 14 crore 18 lakh 65,068. Operating expenses, you take all these expenses, property tax, insurance, common area maintenance, marketing and promotion, property management, reserve for replacement. Total operating expenses are 4 crore 51 lakh 30,627. Net operating income 9 crore 67 lakhs 35,053. So base cap rate for retail in Bangalore is 8.5%. For prime location, you deduct minus 0.75%. For A's condition, we add 0.25%. For tenant quality, minus 0.5%. So final capitalization rate is 7.5%. You divide this net operating income with the cap rate. So the value comes out to be approximately 129. And if you calculate the per square feet, this equates to approximately 14,333 per square feet of the built-up area, which aligns with the market rates for successful retail properties in prime Bangalore locations. Ji Himansh, Ramesh Kumar ji, do you want to ask anything?
Sir, I have a question. Though my area is plant and machinery, I'm wondering, sir, I'm staying in a house in Vadodara, residential house. I'm paying a rent of 20,000. And if I do the capitalization with the residential capital rate, it's the valuation comes 50% of the market rate or the price at which the house is being sold. So is it practical? I mean, how when the income approach gives you the 50% rate than the market rate, I mean, it's a wide difference. How we consider it actually?
Sir, when it depends upon the purpose for which you are doing valuation. When the property is given on rent, so what will happen? There are certain implications for the rental property because of rent act of the state. You cannot eject the tenants all of a sudden. Even if you have 11 months agreement, even then you cannot eject the tenant. So what will happen in that case if you are doing valuation for the banking purpose? What the option bank have? Ji Hamesh ji. Hello.
Himesh ji, are you there?
Come again, sir.
Sir, your face is not visible.
Now, sir?
Your face is not visible.
Now better, sir?
No. Your face is
Oh,
not
I'm sorry.
visible.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Camera is
I'm
not
sorry.
working. You will not be allowed to attend the class.
So the problem is that it
देखिए
is not that the
हिमेश जी मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि इन केस अगर आज आप वहां पर रह रहे हैं 20,000 या 30,000 whatever is the rent, that may be the 50% of the total value. अगर आज की रेट में वो प्रॉपर्टी को बैंक ने फाइनेंस किया होता और वो एनपीए आपके ओनर ने कर दिया होता, तो क्या आप उस मकान को कल को खाली कर सकते हैं अगर एक्विजिशन हो गया तो? नहीं करेंगे। तो बैंक को एक्सपेंस करना पड़ेगा आपको खाली कराने के लिए, लीगल या किसी और तरीके से वो करना पड़ेगा। वो कॉस्ट कहां पर आएगी? एंड वेदर इट दैट कॉस्ट इज ascertained, उतनी ही होगी जितनी वो कैलकुलेट करेंगे। और क्या वो उतने टाइम में ही खाली हो जाएगा?
Not sure, sir. Correct.
sorry, even the bank do not have the right to vacate that property.
Yes.
Even if it becomes NPA, bank do not have the right to eject you.
Okay.
They have to cope up with you. And the only option is that bank will continue to get rent from you. He cannot eject you. So that is why this valuation is. So it depends upon the purpose. For what purpose you are doing valuation? Of course, for you, this value may not be the actual value. But for the bank, for the financial institution for which you are doing the valuation, or even if you are doing for valuation for any other person, he will not able to eject you all of a sudden, even if you are having 11 months agreement.
Okay, sir.
There is something to say, Dr. Saab, I would just supplement what you have stated just now. These are all, qualitative statements. Whether the bank will, it's mortgage to bank, or it is not mortgage bank, or how much, will it take some time to, vacate the house and all. I'm just adding that one thing to it. We know something like discount and premium factors, which we add to the valuation for the publishing purpose. So we cannot quantify otherwise. I mean, these are all qualitative statements. So one has to really work very diligently to work out how much discount or how much premium should be added or reduced from the valuation you would have done. So that part is number one. Second part is on the basis of capitalization rate. How you are deciding about the capitalization rate, whether it is market driven, whether it is including the cash component of the valued property, or it is only the number one value of the property. So many factors which adds to the calculating the valuation. I presuppose, Dr. Saab.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. You are perfectly correct, sir. क्योंकि जो कैपिटलाइजेशन रेट होगा उसमें रिस्क फैक्टर इन्वॉल्व होगा। जितना ज्यादा रेट होगा उतना वैल्यू कम आएगा। तो एग्जैक्टली द थिंग इज द सेम, लेकिन थोड़ा सिंपल लैंग्वेज में समझाने के लिए, क्योंकि वो कैपिटलाइजेशन अगर जैसे आपकी लैंग्वेज से हम बात करेंगे ना तो इंजीनियर्स को समझ नहीं लगेगा।
We do it in SF, a lot of things,
yes,
we add or minus.
तो थोड़ा सिंपल लैंग्वेज में हमने कोशिश किया, लेकिन एग्जैक्टली तो वर्ड वही है।
नहीं, you are perfectly right. You're perfectly right.
That is perfectly correct, sir.
Thank you.
लेकिन
सर, I have a question.
कैपिटलाइजेशन रेट लेते हैं तो रेट में वहां पर रिस्क इन्वॉल्व होता है, प्रीमियम या डिस्काउंट, तो वहां पर वो हमें कैलकुलेट कर लेते हैं तो ऑटोमेटिकली सारा आंसर मिल जाता है।
बिल्कुल,
एग्जैक्टली। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। यस सर, प्लीज अवेश जी।
Rajendra sir, can you please just on last page of the PDF where you show the case study? Yeah, right sir, right. So sir, actually the case study is very I must say बहुत ही अच्छा केस स्टडी है ये, और इसमें मुझे एक ही डाउट आ रहा है कि कलेक्शन लॉस एस्टिमेट अपने जो किया है वो क्या चीज है? Collection loss estimate from the deduction portion.
Collection loss may be that you have given the property on rent. Maybe that certain you have some dispute with the tenant, and that tenant left the property without paying you. or you are having some legal dispute and the tenant is not paying you the rent. And that for that particular year, actually you have to take the income of that particular year for which you are doing, which you are using for your valuation purpose. So there may be that certain, as in this case, 15% of the property remains vacant.
Yes.
And there may be certain collection loss, which may be of the range of 2%. Means 2% of the rent which you are supposed to get if it was 100% occupied. Is it
Sir,
clear?
if it is 50% occupied,
Sir?
if it is 50% occupied, then
So if it
we
is
can go for
that
the this
50%
method.
occupied will be here.
Current vacancy is 50%. Then we can go for
50%.
this method.
Yes, sir. This collection losses has nothing to do with the current vacancy or stabilized vacancy.
Then the
It is
valuation is
separate.
a function of the percentage of vacancy.
Percentage of vacancy is that this much portion of the property
If
remains
it goes up
vacant.
to the 50%, then land building method was correct, or this income approach method was correct?
Sir, it will that is what I have told you. It will depend upon the purpose and each and every specific property valuation is different. You cannot apply the same thing to the property which is having 50% vacancy.
Yes.
So
That's what I'm saying.
each and every valuation is a separate thing.
Okay.
You cannot apply the same thing. That is why otherwise you can have three things: one cost approach, one market approach, and one income approach.
Okay.
You have only three things, but you have to apply your expertise, your experience, your knowledge to each and every case separately. You cannot apply the same things everywhere. Okay, and then for a simple calculation, we can simply use a gross income multiplier in certain cases also. So instead of calculating net operating income in certain cases, gross income multiplier is directly used for rough calculation of the value. So another method is gross income multiplier. So how is this gross income multiplier is calculated? You calculate the gross multiplier of that for that particular property by getting the data collected from the vicinity of the property, the sale price of a similar property in the vicinity of the subject property, and you divide it with the annual gross income of the property of which you are doing valuation. That will give you gross income multiplier. And you calculate the estimated value will be equal to annual gross income of the property multiplied by gross income multiplier. That will give you estimated value of the property. So this is a application, how it is applied in Indian context. GIM method is particularly useful in India for residential apartment buildings with multiple tenants, small commercial complexes in secondary markets, quick initial valuation assessment. Basically, this is generally used for quick initial valuation assessment. And then markets with limited data and on operating expenses. If you do not have detailed data on operating expenses, and properties with relatively consistent expenses ratios. So generally the typical GIM range in Indian metro cities, it is 15 to 25%. For residential apartments, for tier 2 cities, it is 12 to 18%. For small building, commercial buildings, 8 to 12%, metro cities, and for tier 2 cities, 7 to 10%. And mixed use properties, it is 10 to 15% for 10 to 15, sorry, GIM is 10 to 15, not by percent, then it is multiplier 10 to 15, and for tier 2 cities 8 to 12. Just an example, you have to calculate the value of a 6-unit apartment building in Jaipur. Gross income multiplier, monthly rental income 90,000, 6 unit into 15,000. Annual gross income is 10,80,000. Gross income multiplier, you calculate this from the, collect the data, comparable data from the market for sale of recent sale of similar properties in the vicinities of the property. You have comparable one which was sold for 1.6 crore rupees and it was getting an annual income of 10.2 crore, 10,20,000. So gross income multiplier comes out to be 15.7. Similarly, you are having two other comparables, comparable 3. This is the sale price of comparable to 1.75. Annual gross income was 12 lakh. So gross income multiplier comes out to be 14.6, comparable 3. It was sold for 1.5 crore. It was getting annual gross income of 9,60,000. So gross income multiplier is 15.1. To take the average of these 3 values, it comes out to be average GIM from comparable is 15.1. So you multiply the gross income 10,18,000 with the gross income multiplier to directly get this. So this method basically gives you the quick estimate that can further be refined through other evaluation approaches. So this is just for getting quick estimate of the value. That may not be this may not represent the estimated value of the property.
Sir, I would like to just ask that this is just a reciprocal of the capitalization, gross capitalization rate.
So
the multiplier is 15, 1 by 15 is 6.66. So the capitalization rate will be.
Yes, so you can that, but in capitalization we take a net operating income.
Okay.
So that this is just for getting if someone is asking you for a quick estimate of the property value. You can apply. So now we will discuss what are the advantages of this income approach. So it aligns with the investor's mindset. It reflects the property's economic value rather than just physical attributes. It mirrors how institutional investors evaluate acquisition decisions. It facilitates comparison with alternative investment, stocks, bonds, etc. It supports rational price discovery in investment-oriented markets. So as India's tangible asset markets matures and institutionalize, income-based valuation has gained prominence, particularly with the introduction of IETs and growing foreign investment. Second, it is useful for financial metrics as it enables calculation of key investment metrics, initial yield, capitalization rate, internal rate of returns. You know what is internal rate of return, cash on cash returns, equity multiples. So it allows sensitivity analysis for different scenarios. It facilitates debt service coverage ratio analysis for lending, and it supports portfolio level return calculations. So these capabilities are particularly valuable as Indian tangible asset financing become more sophisticated and complicated. And then forward-looking perspective of this method. Unlike the sales comparison approach, which we have already discussed, which relies on historical transactions, the income approach incorporates future expectations. So see the differences of the two methods. In the sales comparison approach, which we have already discussed, it was based upon or it relies upon historical transactions. But here we rely upon future expectations. Accounts for anticipated rental growth and market improvements. Captures value of contractual rent escalations in existing leases. Reflects future redevelopment or responding repositioning potential. Incorporates expected changes in operating expenses and inflation. So this forward-looking orientation is especially relevant in India's rapidly developing urban centers where infrastructure improvements and shifting market dynamics can significantly impact future property performances. So the income approach has gained significant traction in India's commercial tangible asset sector, particularly as the market has become more transparent and institutionalized. So next is, there are certain drawbacks or limitations of this methods. First thing is reliance on accurate income or expense data. So the value you will get from this income approach, it will depend upon the accuracy of the income data of the property, and from the income you have to deduct the expenses. So you have to rely upon the accurate income or expense data. This is the drawback, main drawback of the income. So in Indian context, it is very difficult to get actual accurate income expense data. Because in most of the cases, these are not recorded in most of the cases. In many cases. So because of limited rental transparency, many rental transactions in India remains informal or particularly documented, making market rent estimation challenging. Then expense documentation issues. Operating expenses record may be incomplete or unreliable, especially for smaller properties. And then cash economy factors. Portion of the rental income may be transacted in cash and not formally recorded. So this is a basic problem. Then non-standardized reporting. जी सुनील पुरी जी, do you want to add anything?
सर रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहता ਸੀ क्वेश्चन ਸੀ ਦਿਮਾਗ 'ਚ
ਜੀ ਸਰ,
ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ ਨਵੇਂ ਆਊਟਲੈਟ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੇਲਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਪਰਸੈਂਟੇਜ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਓਨਰ ਨੂੰ, ਉਹ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਮੈਥਡ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੱਢ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਕਾਸਟ?
ਉਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਆਏਗਾ ਸਰ ਅੱਗੇ.
Thank you. Sorry for disturbance.
If the time permits, we will do everything in this case.
So nice of you.
ठीक है ना, अगर नहीं होगा तो फिर हम एक और इसके लिए हमें रखनी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी अप्रोक्सीमेटली 3 आवर्स पास हो गए हैं, 1 घंटे रहता है. अगर टाइम परमिट होगा तो हम सारी चीजें इंक्लूड करेंगे. अभी हम अप्रोक्सीमेटली प्रेजेंटेशन के 50% के करीब पहुंचे हैं. तो इसमें बहुत कुछ अभी प्लांट एंड मशीनरी वालों के लिए अगर टाइम परमिट होगा तो हम बहुत सारी चीजें ऐड करेंगे. कोशिश कर रहे हैं मैक्सिमम करने की, लेकिन थोड़ा टाइम कंज्यूमिंग है प्रोसेस. We will try
Please to say this income method normally is applied for SFA valuations because their holistic view on the balance sheet is taken or the P&L is taken. No?
Sir, basically
that is also a part of presentation, sir. In case studies, everything will be covered, sir. This is just the basic things we are discussing.
This is just the beginning. We are trying our best to complete each and everything within the stipulated time. But if time permits, we will try to touch each and everything. If it is not, we are not able to complete that, we will then have to arrange another CEP for that. So, because there are many things, as a registered value, you know each and everything. But here, basic thing is we have to discuss those things we generally ignore. So the main purpose is कि एक जगह इकट्ठे होकर हमने डिस्कस करना है कि कहाँ कहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. हमारा पर्पज है, हमने एक प्रेजेंटेशन में सब कुछ डाल दिया, आप लोगों के साथ डिस्कस करना है. हो सकता है बहुत सी चीजें हमें भी मालूम ना हो. We have tried to collect most of the things relevant to this topic. So next is non-standardized reporting. Because of inconsistent accounting practices in India, it makes expenses comparison difficult. So these data limitations are particularly pronounced in residential markets and smaller commercial properties outside major metro centers. The challenge is compounded by the absence of centralized database of lease transactions comparable to those available in more developed markets. And then, as we have already discussed and Sandeep have told this, cap rate sensitivity. How you have chosen the cap rate? See, even a minor change in the cap rate will significantly affect the value of the property. See here, small changes, it will make a big impact. A mere 0.5% change in the cap rate can alter the valuation by 5 to 10%. Then limited transaction evidence. Difficulty in establishing market cap rates for specialized properties or secondary locations. Then cyclical fluctuation. Cap rates varies very significantly with economic cycles, making timing a critical factor. And then this factor, this premium subjectivity. The risk premium component of a cap rate involves considerable judgment. This is most important. So see here, we take an example. Let us suppose we have a property whose net operating income is 1 crore. See, with minor changes, how the value will change. If we take the cap rate 7%, the value comes out to be 14.29. If we take the value cap rate as 7.5%, value reduces to 13.33. Means difference is 6.7%, minus 6.7% value. And if you increase the cap rate to 8%, value becomes 12.5%, minus 6.2%. If we increase the cap rate to 8.5%, value comes to be 11.6%, means the value is minus 5.9%. See the difference. With the minor changes, how the value of the property changes. So this cap rate sensitivity is most important in income approach. So the sensitivity makes the income approach particularly vulnerable to manipulations when values are pressurized to reach predetermined outcomes. जी मिलान जी.
सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि अगर कोई बिल्डर डेवलपर ने G+5 और G+6 बिल्डिंग डेवलप किया है और उसका जो गवर्नमेंट अप्रूव्ड प्लान है वो हॉस्टल बिल्डिंग का है, उसके बाद वो एज अ ऑफिस सबको रेंट पर दे देता है, तो उस केस में अगर वैल्यूएशन करना है तो कैसे कर सकते हैं? अप्रूव्ड प्लान इज ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द हॉस्टल, and hostel rooms are given on rate on the basis of the offices. So how can we do the
Sir,
valuation?
it will depend upon the case for which purpose you are doing valuation. And if you
For the
have
bank purpose.
for the bank purpose, so you have to make the things clear to the bank. In the bank's format, many things they already ask you
Yes.
about the
We
zoning.
have to clear that.
You have to clear all the things. And even if then bank asks you to give them the value, you can give the
लेकिन
value and make a note under that whatever you want to tell them.
उसका
Additional.
वैल्यूएशन इनकम अप्रोच से करना चाहिए या मार्केट अप्रोच?
Sir, if the building is given on rent, you have to value it on the basis of rental.
Okay.
And then, of course, you should guide the bank not to take that building for mortgage purpose.
जैसा अभी
Because it is not only the value that matters for them. The other things which as a value you should guide them. That is also important.
तो जैसा
And
पवन जी
many
ने
things
बताया,
they
आपको
ask you
सफिशिएंट
from
डिस्काउंट फैक्टर आपको कंसीडर करना पड़ेगा कि अगर चेंज ऑफ लैंड यूज के लिए हमें जरूरत पड़ी तो कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट वहां पर बैंक का लगेगा इन केस ऑफ जो इलीगल उसने लैंड यूज चेंज किया है, उसके लिए आपको डिस्काउंट फैक्टर आपको कंसीडर करे बगैर वैल्यूएशन नहीं दे सकते.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
You can consider discounting also if the laws permit.
Unapproved area we can delete. The rental income they are getting for total income. Unapproved
Whole building
additional
is legal. Sir,
additional
whole building is legal, but the basis
We
of
will
the plan is a
we will
hostel
discuss in
plan.
detail in the 0 hour. Let's continue the subject first. We will having the sufficient time to discuss everything in the 0 hour after completing the session. Let's touch each and every topic first. Yes, sir. Please continue.
So next is a cost
Sir,
approach.
excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir, suddenly I was out of the meeting. Now I am joining.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please continue, sir.
So next is cost approach. The cost approach determines the value by calculating cost to replicate the property structures and improvement at current prices, minus depreciation plus the value of the land. So this is the basic of a cost. Calculate the cost to replicate the property structure and improvement at current prices. Then you have to deduct the depreciation from it, and then you have to add the value of the land. So this approach is based on the principle of substitution, which assumes that a rational buyer would not pay more for a property than the cost of creating an equivalent property with the same utility. So property value is equals to land value minus replacement cost of improvement minus depreciation. So this approach is relevant in Indian context. We generally apply this approach to new or recently constructed properties, special purpose properties with limited market comparables, industrial properties and specialized facilities, insurance values and tax assessment processes, purposes, development feasibility analysis. So this cost approach often serves as a valuable cross-check against other valuation methods, especially in cases where market data is limited or questionable. So what are the key components in cost approach? First is land valuation. So the land component is typically valued by using, we take its value by sales comparison approach, or in some cases through techniques like extraction method or land residue methods. You know these methods, land extraction or residue methods. And then second thing that is important is replacement cost estimation of the improvements. So the cost to construct the improvement at current market prices, considering direct construction costs of materials and labors, indirect cost of architectural fees, permits, and financing, and developers more profit margin. So you calculate the replacement cost of the improvement by considering these costs, and then you have to determine the depreciation. In depreciation, you have to determine physical deterioration, wear and tear, aging, then functional obsolescence. Functional obsolescence means outdated design, inefficient layout, etc. Then external obsolescence means economic or locational factors. So in India, we generally calculate the replacement cost based upon CPWD schedule of rates or state's PWD schedule of rate or construction cost indices published by CREDI, CREDI, or data from quantity surveyors and construction consultants. What are the steps involved in cost approach? First of all, you have to assess the land value. For assessing land value, what you have to do? You have to research comparable land sales of similar lands in the vicinity of the subject property of which you are doing valuation. Then you have to analyze government circle rates of the area. You have to consider legal permissible uses and development potential. You have to adjust for size, shape, topography, and accessibility differences. And then you have to take into consideration factors, infrastructure availability, and connectivity. So in India, valuation often requires careful consideration of the title clarity, encroachment issues, and development rights. FSI, FAR, you have to consider all these things into consideration. Then you have to estimate the replacement cost. Second step is to estimate the replacement cost of the structure, for which what you have to do. You have to assume the present rate of construction based upon the construction quality, class, luxury, premium, standard, economic, etc. Then you have to apply current construction cost per square feet or per square meter as the case may be for the relevant quality class. Then you have to add cost for site improvement, landscaping, and external works. So you have to add the cost of architectural and engineering fees, which is typically 3 to 5% in India. Then approval and permit costs, construction management fees, financing costs during construction. So add developers profit, which is typically 50 to 25% for commercial development. So once you calculate the replacement cost of the infrastructure improvements, then you have to calculate depreciation. So for calculation depreciations, you have to calculate physical deterioration, which depends upon the age of the building, especially. So there may be curable deterioration like painting, minor repairs, etc., and incurable deterioration, structural issues, major system reaching end of the life. To see here what we do, we generally ignore these things. These two things you have to consider, not only curable, incurable deterioration has to be considered also. So here, this is where we generally lax. We generally ignore this thing. And then you also have to look for financial obsolescence also. And we generally ignore this thing. Outdated layouts, inadequate facilities, energy efficiency, outdated technologies in the building. We generally ignore this. We generally take only physical deterioration and that only of curable. And we generally ignore these things. First, we never take into consideration functional solids. And then outdated outlets, inadequate facilities, energy efficiency, outdated technologies. Then external obsolescence such as environmental factors, pollution, noise, etc. Economic conditions affecting the property use, and zoning or regulatory changes. So once you calculate the depreciation, and for calculating this physical deterioration, you have certain methods: straight line method, constant percentage method, sinking fund method. But for this functional obsolescence and in external obsolescence, you do not have any method. It has to be calculated based upon your expertise, based upon your experience, and the inspection you have made at site. You have collected the data based upon that. And after that, then you calculate reconcile the value component, combine the elements to arrive at the final property value, land value plus replacement cost of improvement minus accumulated depreciation. These thing will be equals to the property value via cost approach. So compare this value with other approaches applicable to wherever you have a final reconciled value opinion. So it is not that you will be applying a particular method to a specific case. You may have to apply all the three methods or to one of the two of the three methods or one of the methods, depending upon the case as it may. I will be back just a minute. So let us take an example. An industrial plant in Haryana. The property details are subject property. It is a manufacturing facility in the industrial model township IMT Manesar, Haryana. Land parcel is 5 acres, 21,780 square meter. Built up area is 80,000 square feet, 7,432 square meter. Construction type is RCC frame structure with brick infill walls. Roof is partly RCC and partly industrial metal roofing. Age is 12 years since its construction. And components, so as we have collected the data, main production hall is 60,000 square feet, office block 10,000 square feet, 2 floors. Utility buildings is 5,000 square feet, workers facilities 5,000 square feet. External works, paved driveways, boundary walls, landscaping, security cabin. Utilities, dedicated power station, substation, water treatment plant, effluent treatment plants. So valuation analysis, land value, current market rate for industrial land in IMT Manesar rupees 20,000 per square meter. So total land value area is 21,780 square meter multiplied by 20,000, 43.56 crore. Adjustment for location within IMT minus 5%. So depending upon the location, we reduce the value by 5%. It comes out to be 41.38 crore. Then for replacement cost estimation, production hall 60,000, rate assume is 2,800 per square feet, cost is 16.80 crore. Similarly, for office block 10,000 square feet area, 3,500 per square feet, value is 3.5 crore. Utility buildings 5,000 square feet, rate 2,500, value is 1.25 crore. For workers area is facilities 5,000 square feet, 2,020, 2,200 per square feet, value is 1.1 crore. For external works and site development, such we take it as lump sum 3.25 crore. Then for plant and machinery foundations, we take it as lump sum 2.5 crore. So the total cost subtotal comes out to be 28.4%. We add indirect cost 15% of that for CLU, for taking other permissions, etc. For license, approval of plans, other things, we take 15% of 4. We add 4.26 crore. So total replacement cost is 32.66 crore. So depreciation assessment, physical depreciation, 12 years of building, we assume the total life as 40 years, 30%. Depreciation 9.80 crore. Functional obsolescence because of outdated layout, we take it as 10%, 3.27 crore. Then external obsolescence, we just take it as 2%, minimal. So it comes out to be 0.65 crore. You add all these things, total depreciation assessment is 13.72 crore. So land value is 41.38 crore, depreciated improvement value 18.9 crore, 32.66 minus 13.7. So the total value 41.38 plus 18.94, value is 60.32 crore, rounded to 6.3. This is just an example that how you can apply cost of building. Another example of a new school building in Delhi NCR. Ji Himansh.
When we will cover the plant and machinery, sir?
Sir, we will cover just after this example. We will take some examples of plant and machinery. So next is a new school building in Delhi NCR. Property details: private school campus in Noida Extension, Delhi NCR. Land area is 1.5 acres, 6,070 square meter. Built up area 60,000 square feet across 3 blocks. Main academic block 40,000 square feet, G+3 structure. Administrative block 10,000 square feet, G+1 structure. Multi-purpose hall and sports facility 10,000 square feet. Age is 5 years since construction. Construction quality mid premium finishes. External developments: playground, landscaped area, parking, boundary wall. Show special features: computer labs, science laboratories, smart classrooms. The school operates at full capacity with approximately 1,200 students and has established a good reputation in the area. The valuation is being conducted for insurance purposes. And you know, for insurance purposes, you have to calculate the replacement cost. So, value analysis. So we generally ignore the land value, but here we are just giving the land value from circle rate. So circle rate method, Noida Extension institutional land circle rate is 40,000 per square meter. Land value 6,070 square meter into 40,000, 24.28 crore. Adjustment for location premium 15%, 3.64 crore. So adjusted value, land value becomes 27.9 crore. And then, as we have done in the first example, you have to calculate the replacement cost of different components separately, then add all of them: academic block, administrative block, multi-purpose hall and sports facilities, site development and external works. So such stuff total becomes 22.5 crore. Specialized equipment and features for the school, you add 10%, that is 2.25 crore, and add indirect cost 12%, 2.7 crore. So total replacement cost is 27.45 crore. Then you apply depreciation, physical depreciation, 5 years old building. We assume the life of the building as 60 years, 2.28 crore, 8.3%. Function obsolescence, we take it as minimum 2%. And external obsolescence, 0%. So total depreciation is 2.83 crore. So you add all these land value plus replacement cost of building minus depreciation, the value becomes 52.62 crore, approximately 52.6. So what are the advantages or strength of this cost approach? So it is ideal for special use properties. Special use properties are those properties which are having single use, as in the case of this school. This school building cannot be used for any other purpose. Similarly, this industrial building, it cannot be used for any other purpose. So special use properties are single use property basically. So it is used for special use properties, educational institutions like schools, healthcare facilities such as hospitals and specialized clinics, religious buildings and places of worship, government and institutional buildings, custom designed industrial facilities with specialized features, and heritage properties with the cultural significance. So in India, this approach is often the primary method for valuing many public and institutional properties where market comparables or scarce or non-existent. Valuable for insurance and accounting. So generally for insurance purposes, we use this cost approach. It provides critical information for insurance coverage and financing reporting. Determination of appropriate insurance coverage for the buildings and improvements. Calculation of fixed asset value for balance sheets. Depreciation scheduling for tax purposes. Allocation for change price between land and improvement. Assessment of replacement reserves for maintenance plan. And then when the cost data is available, this method is objective because it is based on verifiable construction costs from the industry sources. It is less influenced by market speculation or temporary market distortions. It can be documented and supported with standardized cost references. It provides logical maximum value threshold, means principle of substitution, and it allows for detailed component by component analysis. These are some of the strengths of this method. And as far as limitations are concerned, market value divergence. The cost to create a property and its market value often diverge significantly due to various factors. First thing is market sentiment disconnect. In this method, cost approach does not capture the speculative elements or market enthusiasm that may drive prices. We generally do not take into consideration the market trends. And similarly, especially for construction null element or replacement cost, this location premium is omitted. So difficult to fully account for location value, which is often dominant factor in Indian urban tangible assets. Then for calculation, as we have already discussed, for obsolescence, we do not have any particular methods for calculating obsolescence of tangible assets. Of course, for physical depreciation, we can use a certain method, but for obsolescence, we do not have any method. So for calculating obsolescence, economic obsolescence, we have certain challenges because it is hard to quantify external obsolescence factors like neighborhood decline or market oversupply. And then it does not capture the premium associated with the prestigious developer or land-based projects, as in the case of market approach. Then when you are calculating the land value, where you have to apply comparable approach, sales comparable approach. So because we are having limited vacant land sales, if in certain areas, if you are having limited vacant land sales, you cannot have the accurate data for the land values. So as far as this land is concerned, it is all the land parcels are heterogeneous. No two land parcels can have the same characteristics because of their significant variations in development potential, access, and utilities. And then other things, legal complexities, title issues, encroachment, and development restrictions which affect the land. Then circle rate inadequacy. Government benchmarks rates often fail to reflect the actual market dynamics. Then transitional areas, challenging valuations in areas undergoing land use changes. So these are certain limitations. And of course, when you are calculating the depreciation, there are certain depreciation estimation challenges because you only have certain methods for calculating physical depreciation. For other type of depreciation, such as functional obsolescence, for economic obsolescence, you do not have certain particular methods, certain standardized methods. So in the absence of standardized methods, so it is difficult to calculate accurate depreciation, which affect the value. So non-standardized methods, so various approaches to calculate physical deterioration, age life breakdown method. Then maintenance quality variation. So basically we calculate the value depreciation based upon age of the building. But we hardly take into consideration the maintenance quality of the structure. So same age building may have vastly different conditions based upon upkeep. And then the renovation impact. So many times the buildings are renovated recently, and there are no particular method available how to take into consideration that renovated part in your valuation. Then climate factors, varying deterioration based upon local environmental conditions. Then functional obsolescence quantification. So we are not able to have any particular method for calculating the functional obsolescence quantity. So next is belting method. So in belting method, you know what we do. As we have already discussed, when there is a large chunk of land having very less depth as compared to its depth, we take into consideration this belting method. We divide the plot into 2, 3, or 4 belts depending upon its distance from the main road. So what we do, so generally we divide the belt. First belt is typically extend 30 to 50 feet from the main road and commands highest value per square feet. Second belt, it is behind the first belt, typically valued at 2 by 2/3 or 3/4 of the first belt. Third belt, further interior land, typically valued at half or 2/3 of the first belt. And the subsequent belts, additional belts as needed with progressively lower values. So how this method is applied? Process of this method is, first of all, you have to define the belt width, which are generally 30 to 50 feet each. Then determine the value of the first belt based upon the market value for the front properties in the area. Then assign the relative values to the subsequent belts. Then calculate the area of each belt and apply the value and sum. For example, let us suppose first belt is 40 feet. We apply typical value as 100%. For second belt from 40 to 80 feet, value is 2/3, 66.7%. Third belt 80 to 120 feet, we apply a rate of 50%. And for the fourth belt above 120 feet, we apply rate of 40% of approximately 2/5 of the rate of first belt. So let us take an example. Subject property, it is a commercial land parcel on Ferguson College Road, Pune. Total land area is 15,000 square feet. Frontage on main road is 100 feet. Depth of the plot is 150 feet. Zoning is commercial as per zone regulations. And market value for prime commercial frontage is 10,000 per square feet. So here what we do, we divide it into 3 belts. First belt 0 to 50 feet. For the main road, we evaluate at 100%. Second belt 50 to 100 feet from the main road, which is valued at 2/3 of the rate of first belt. And the third belt 100 to 150 feet from the main road, valued at 50% of the value of first belt. So you calculate the area of each belt, first belt, second belt, third belt, and we apply the rate. For first belt rate is 10,000, for second belt rate 2/3 means 66,000, 6,667. For third belt rate is 50% means 5,000. You multiply the area with the rate, calculate the value of each belt and add them. So the value comes out to be 10,83,035. 10,83,35,000. So you can calculate it in that. And then the last method is land and building method. So here it is similar to cost approach, where we add land value with the building value. So for land value, we determine the value as if vacant using comparable sales. We apply appropriate adjustment for location, size, and shape. Then we take into consideration potential and FSI are available. So sometimes in certain areas, FSI and FAR, unused FSI is also, it can be sold. And in that case, you have to take into consideration that unused FSI. You have to add the value of unused FSI. So for building, you have to apply the same method which we applied in the cost approach. For example, we are having a mixed used building in Ahmedabad. Property details, land area is 9,100 square meter, approximately 9,700 square feet. Ground floor retail shop, it is used for retail shops, 500,000 square feet built up area. First and second floor, 10,000 square feet built up area, which is used for office spaces. Third and fourth place, there are residential apartment, 10,000 square feet built up area. So total built up area is 25,000 square feet. Building age is 15 years. Construction is RCC framed structures with the brick infill walls. Current FSI utilizes 2.5 out of 3. See here, FSI permitted is 3. So what does this mean? Means you can have 2,700 square meter covered area. If FSI is 3, so maximum area of all the floors, ground, first, second, third, and fourth. But here we have used 2.5 out of 3 permitted. It means remaining development potential is 0.5 FSI. 0.5 means you can have additional constructional possibilities of 4,850 square feet. And you have to take into consideration this 4,850 square feet. Value of this additional remaining development potential. So you have to add its value. Otherwise, it is similar to that cost approach. So you calculate the value of the land from comparable land sale analysis. On the nearby localities, these are the values you calculated from the data you have collected, and you assume the selected rate as 1,25,000 per square meter. Area of the land is 9,900 square meter. The value of the land comes out to be 11.25 crore. So in this case, you have unused FSI, 0.5. And for that, we add 0.75. So the total value comes out to be 11.25 plus 0.75 crore. So the total value is 12 crore. Otherwise, for building valuation, you have to apply the same method which you have applied in cost approach. And then you calculate the depreciation, physical, functional, and external obsolescence. So total value comes out to be land value plus building value. So total comes out to be 17 crore. So these are the certain methods which we generally apply during our valuation process. And of course, there are many other things which are involved there. When certain cases you have to apply circle rates instead of market rate, especially when you are doing valuation for stamp duty purposes, or if you are doing valuation for tax purposes, especially for calculating capital gain tax, you have to take into consideration circle rates. So it is not that you will ignore the circle rates in each and everything. In certain cases, you have to consider these circle rates also. So you must be conversant with this circle rate, which are sometimes called ready reckoner rate, guideline rate, or collector rate. So in where the markets are volatile, there we may also use these circle rates. They act as market stabilizers intended to prevent extreme underreporting of property values. So circle rates are typically structured based upon geographic zones or localities within cities, property type, residential, commercial, or industrial, land use category, road width and accessibility, and construction type and quality. So generally the circle rates consider these factors. So how the valuation is calculated based upon circle rates. First of all, you have to identify the zone, determine the specific zone locality where the property is located. Then you have to look for the applicable rate per square feet or per square meter, as the case may be, from the government tables. Then you calculate the area of the property of which you have to do valuation based upon circle rates. Measure the property area as per government guidelines. Then base value calculator multiply the area with the applicable rates. And then, of course, you can make certain adjustment in certain cases based upon the floor level, road width, corner plots, shape irregularities, usage permission. Basically, there are certain limitations in in these government rates because it often lag behind actual market values, especially in rapidly appreciating areas. There may not capture macro market variations within the zones. They do not take into consideration the quality differences in the properties. They are not revised regularly. They are inconsistent with the updates. And of course, in certain cases, their rates may be very less as compared to the actual because of certain political considerations. Rate revisions sometimes influenced by political rather than market factors. So let us suppose I take an example. Delhi circle rate. Generally, these are the circle rates. We take an example. Valuation of example South Delhi residential property based upon circle rate. Subject property is a 3-bedroom apartment in Vasant Vihar cities. See here, Vasant Vihar rate is 7,74,000 per square meter. Built up area is carpet area is 150 square meter, built up area 180, super built up area 225. Property is situated on a third floor in a 5-story building. Age of the building is 10 years. As we have seen, rate is 7,74,000 per square meter. Area is 150 square meter of our carpet area as per Delhi law. Floor adjustment, third floor premium plus 10%. Age adjustment, 10-year-old building, you have to deduct 10%. So base value 150 into 7,74,000, 11,461 lakh. Adjusted value, you have to apply for premium for third floor, which is 10%, and deduct for age 10%. So the value comes out to be 11.65 crore. But in the market value is 30 to 15 to 18 crore, approximately 30 to 55% higher than the circle rates. So generally, this varies from 50 to 100. See here, in South Delhi premium areas, rates are varying from actual rates. Circle rates are the difference. There is difference of 60 to 70%. In the Mumbai suburban area, difference is approximately 35 to 45%. In Bangalore residential area, difference is 20 to 30%. And in Tier 2 cities, rate is 5 to 15% difference. And in oversupplied market, maybe certain areas, it is not that every time the actual rates are higher. In certain cases, market rate may be less than the collector rates, up to 15%. So how it affects? This causes market distortions. Because of it, there are certain black money circulation. It encourages unaccounted cash transactions to bridge the gap. It creates frictions in the property sales where gaps are large. It leads to underreporting of actual transaction values, and it creates data reliability issues for professional values. ठीक है संदीप जी, this is all for different approaches of जी सुनील जी. Sunil sir, do you want to add something?
सर ऐड नहीं करना चाहना जी, बस तो ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਇਨਕਮ ਅਪਰੋਚ, ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਸੀਗਾ ਜੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਕਲੈਰਿਟੀ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏ.
ਸਰ ਮੈਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਜੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ. ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਜੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ 1-2 ਦਿਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਪਲੋਡ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਊਗਾ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਔਰ ਪਲਾਂਟ ਐਂਡ ਮਸ਼ੀਨਰੀ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ.
ਐਜ ਵੀ ਸਰ
ਉਹ ਅਪਲੋਡ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ for plant and machinery values, and for remaining portion of the land and building values, we will make a video of all parts, including what we have discussed, and remaining part of this presentation. We will make a video and which will be uploaded in your group within a day or two.
The PPTs for today's presentation, including plant and machinery presentation, and how to get the data. There was a question in the previous session that how to get the rates. There is a Word file also added in that, and the link is shared in your group. You can take benefit of this, and the balance PPTs, because we are having limited time. In 4 hours, it is not possible to discuss each and everything, but we are trying to cover all the necessary topics. We have tried to cover all the necessary topics within this permissible time, and the rest of the balance PPTs will be shared to you in the video format very soon in your particular group. And the participants who are not the member of CEV will get these links on their email by today evening. Yeah. Any other related you want to ask anything?
Well, sir.
Yes, sir.
Remaining जो PowerPoint तो स्लाइड बाकी है, उसके लिए सेपरेट COP अरेंज नहीं हो सकता?
सेपरेट COP सर नेक्स्ट सेशन में हम लोग कवर करेंगे उसको सारा.
That is fine, sir.
Yeah, and probably that will be free of cost for all the participants of this batch.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. बोलिए सर.
सर एक चंक ऑफ लैंड है ऑफ 5000 एकर्स
Yes, sir.
So HSIDC want to develop an industrial hub in Haryana state near Gurgaon. So they want valuation of land for compensation of land and for farmers. How we shall conduct valuation such
For
large?
land acquisition purposes, you have to follow the LARAR guidelines under that. Rajvinder sir, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, there are two things. If it is for the land acquisition purposes, you can do valuation based upon LAR purposes. There is some presentation in this. There is one slide there. I will.
सर अब तो उन्होंने लैंड पूलिंग पॉलिसी ही चेंज कर दी है वो तो ऑफर कर रहे हैं फार्मर्स को कि भाई कौन दे सकता है उसी हिसाब से वो एज पर वैल्यूएशन बाय दी वैल्यूअर्स उसके हिसाब से वो खरीदेंगे।
सर वो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ इसमें है एक केस स्टडीज है इसमें वो आपको मैं दिखाता हूँ सर।
सर वो प्लीज।
मुकेश वर्मा सर। Mukesh Verma sir.
Sandeep sir, good afternoon.
Sir, can I have your phone number, please?
My number, sir.
Your phone number?
9820
9820
789
789
105.
So nice, sir. Can I call you sometimes? I need some.
Anytime, sir.
So
sir,
nice.
Welcome. Is a PPT this slide is visible?
The session is not yet complete. Please do not leave the class. Yes, sir. Please continue.
Sandeep sir, good afternoon.
सर ये PPT पे आपको स्लाइड विजिबल है सर?
हाँ जी इट इज ओनली 25 एकर्स।
सर ये केस स्टडीज है इसमें वी आर द केस स्टडी इसमें प्रॉपर्टी डिटेल है। केस स्टडी location 3 kilometer from Ludhiana Chandigarh highway Fatehgarh Sahib district. Total land area is 25 acres, approximately 1 lakh square meter. Current use is agriculture, primarily wheat and rice cultivation. Irrigation is canal irrigation with supplementary tube well. Soil quality is fertile alluvial soil type of Punjab plains. Road access is 12-meter wide paved road connectivity to the highway. Conversion potential land falls within the influence zone of upcoming industrial corridor. Valuation challenge: the property presents a classic valuation challenge of land in transition from agriculture to potential industrial commercial use. Dual use consideration: current agricultural productivity versus future development potential. Conversion uncertainty, change of land use permission not yet obtained. Comparable selection difficulty, hybrid agriculture or industrial nature complicates comparison. Infrastructure dependency, value contingent on planned infrastructure execution. So comparable method with belting zone. So what we have, this person has done, he has divided this
सर पीपीटी आपको दे दी गई है टिंडवाल साहब, नो नीड टू टेक एनी स्क्रीनशॉट। ये पीपीटी आपके ग्रुप में डाल दी गई है ऑलरेडी।
ओके सर, ओके, थैंक यू।
या अभी डाली है आपके
पीपीटी देख लेंगे ना ये,
और बाकी भी पीपीटीज कुछ डाली है। यस सर,
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
So he has divided it into 3 beds.
जी सर।
If the distance is 0 to 1 kilometer of the land, rate 150 to 175 lakh per acre. If in the belt to 1 to 3 kilometer, rate area is area of the land in that area is 25 acre of that falls in 1 to 3 kilometer from the highway. Rate is 80 to 90 lakh per acre. So total value comes out to be 21.25 crore. And in the belt 3 to 5 kilometer, rate is 50 to 60 lakh per acre. So no area falls in 3 to 5 acres. So this way you can divide the whole area into different belts.
But here the chunk of land is 5,000 acres, sir.
Sir, that is what I am saying, sir. Here the land is 25 acres. You can divide that 5,000 acres into different belts.
Minimum 1,000 है, उनकी 3 स्कीम में है सर ऐसे.
सर वही कह रहा हूँ कि वो आपको वहां पे जाके डाटा कलेक्ट करना पड़ेगा.
जी जी.
जैसे इसने कलेक्ट किया है 10 एकड़ पार्सल लैंड 2.5 किलोमीटर अवे फ्रॉम द हाउ मच. Similarly 8 acre parcel 3.2 kilometer from the height. 15 acre of land 1.2 kilometer from the height.
Okay.
So this way you have to get the data.
जी.
You have to divide it into different units. You cannot apply the same rate to the 5,000 acres.
जी जी. ये पीपीटी इसकी कंप्लीट जो है ना शेयर कर देना सर.
Share है sir. Already it has shared in the group. So if you have any doubt, you can connect.
Thank you sir. Thank you.
सर एक क्वेश्चन है सर.
जी सर.
सर जो स्कूल बिल्डिंग थी कॉस्ट अप्रोच में
जी,
उसमें वैल्यूएशन अपन इंश्योरेंस पर्पस के लिए कर रहे थे सर.
हाँ वो सर मैंने पहले बताया था कि लैंड की वैल्यू वैसी ली है, वो लेनी नहीं है.
नहीं लैंड की वैल्यू क्या नहीं बोल रहा हूँ सर. जैसा रिप्लेसमेंट कॉस्ट है ना अपने को फाउंडेशन कॉस्ट डिडक्शन करना पड़ेगा.
डिडक्ट करनी है. पहले तो आप रिप्लेसमेंट कॉस्ट को निकालोगे ना.
हाँ.
वैसे फाउंडेशन कॉस्ट आप डिडक्ट करोगे 10 और 15% डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द केस.
हाँ नहीं आपने नहीं लिया था इसलिए पूछा सर.
हाँ वो लेना है सर.
ठीक है.
वो बेसिकली क्या होता है कि हमने इसलिए नहीं लिया कि आप 10 to 15% डिडक्ट तो करोगे, लेकिन क्या होता है कि 3 साल के लिए वैल्यूएशन जो प्रीमियम पे किया जाता है, तो 3 साल तक क्या है कि वैल्यू जो है इंक्रीज हो जाती है. वो अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम आएगी, मान लो 3rd ईयर में कोई प्रॉब्लम आती है, तो उसकी जो रिप्लेसमेंट कॉस्ट है वो बढ़ जाएगी.
बराबर.
तो थोड़ा प्रीमियम लगाना पड़ता है उसके ऊपर.
ठीक है.
अदरवाइज क्लेम आपको पूरा नहीं मिलेगा, तो क्लाइंट आपको फिर बोलेगा भाई आपने वैल्यू कम करके दी है.
बराबर.
सर अगर इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी इंक्लूडिंग फाउंडेशन है फिर फाउंडेशन लेस नहीं होएगी.
हाँ वो डिपेंड करेगा सर.
हाँ.
Case to case it all depends, no, sir. Let's now close it.
ठीक है संदीप जी, this is all from my side. What today?
Right, sir. So friends, if you're having any question, we can take it right now. Otherwise, we are going to conclude today's session. It is around 2:15 now. The PPTs for this session